Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NLC 2022 Awards Show. We have, 19 different award categories that we're going to go over, and we are also going to go back and cover 2019 through 21 because we didn't do this before. We always meant to, always wanted to, and just, I was lazy and didn't do it, I guess you can say. And now I got a good team. Got a good team around me. We're going to start getting a lot more stuff done. We have Elijah Thacker. We have Eric Mon, Dave Fournette. I think TJ Hensley's going to start doing some stuff with us. We're going to have a lot going on, man.
Well, it's been 3 years now, correct, that you've had New Line. 3 years of offense.
Yeah, we started the company technically, I guess, June of 18. And we had an event. We were trying to do something that fall, but kind of pushed it back to February, and then that got pushed back to March. So we had our first event March of 19, and we did 3 fights that year.
And I think you've totaled up. How many fights total have you had now?
I can tell you real quick. I have that. I have that information. I have that information. I just got to find it.
Hold on a moment.
I got to go to my statistics page. Got to hit the archives.
I remember you called over 160, and I've been with you for only less than 2 years now. So
yeah, we've had 247 fights. 247 fights. So, I mean, picking some of these awards was honestly one of the hardest things I've ever done because some of these categories, there's just so many people that are deserving. This year especially because we had a lot of fights. Some of the other years you only had like 3 events, but 2022, we did a lot, man. And it was really hard to just pick one person. There were a few categories we were voting. We had ties. And then, we talked about it. We can't have 2 rookies of the year. We can't have 3 rookies of the year. We had
to keep on. You can't vote for yourself in every category.
Yep. Yeah. And one of my stipulations was you can't vote for me because I'm not deserving of anything.
That's BS. Keith wanted every win. Really had to talk to him about it. We're like, it's not a good look if you win all these awards.
It's not a good look to have me as coach of the year and also and rookie of the year.
That one was going to be really controversial when you alone were team of the year.
Yeah, I was team of the year. Me and my Oculus headset that helped me train for that fight. So my coach on Thrill of the Fight, or I did a little bit of Creed. So I guess technically Rocky Balboa.
If I'm fighting your Oculus and present the award to your Oculus.
If I was fighter of the year, Rocky Balboa has to be coach of the year because he was in my corner on all of those training sessions while we played Creed Rise to Glory on the Oculus.
Why aren't we having robot boxing at New Line yet?
We're still saving our money up for that. So pretty soon, I mean, a lot of these fighters are just going to be a thing of the past because we are going to have robot boxing.
Yeah, we're going to replace all these fighters. That's why we're doing this big award show. This is how we're saying.
This is just a build up to the robots here. But
we're going to introduce you to Alex Davis 3000 after this award.
Heck yeah, man! I can't wait to meet Alex Davis 3000.
So I guess let's start breaking this down. We're looking back all the way back in first ever New Line event, all through the years, talking about some of the best moments in New Line cage fighting history.
So we're going to start with a couple little fun ones here. The Shiniest Shoes Award, Austin Chafin. And he's proud of that.
You got to give that to him, Rob.
Austin would kill me if he didn't get that. All right. Another one, the 2019 Doppelganger Award.
Best in the game.
At NLC
Look at him.
2,
Snake skin.
There were a lot of people that came to me talking about that guy that fought twice that night. Nobody fought twice. However, we had Eric Music and Jose Schultz on the card. Jose looked like Eric's mini-me. They had the same hair, similar fight trunks and everything, man. And everybody thought Jose fought twice or they thought Eric fought twice. I don't know. So the 2019 Doppelganger Award, Eric Music, Jose Schultz. Mustache of the Year.
Oh, I know who's winning this one. It's me, isn't it?
We only did 1 year. We could have technically we could have
me, isn't it?
We could have done this one for 4 years.
Are you going to tell me that I'm not Mustache of the Year?
Dude,
because I'm going to make a scene.
You had the lead, and then you went and trimmed that thing.
Oh, I know what happened.
You went and trimmed
Brendan
that
Kelly
thing.
happened. Brendan
Kelly happened. And, Eli was in the running too, but then he went and shaved his.
Actually, I think Eli had it too, come to think of it. Yeah, and
Eli.
And disappointing.
So Brendan was like, had a come from behind win on the Mustache of the Year. And
came out of nowhere.
We actually do have one award here that, the pointiest hair award. We did this for 2019 all the way through 22. We're going to start back with 2019. You had from Parkersburg, West Virginia, you had Ryan Carroll come up here as a coach.
2020. Ryan Carroll. I took it home that year too.
He defended it and kept the title. Then after we came back from COVID in 21, there was another guy that came in, wanting to give him a run, but hell no. Ryan Carroll walked away with it again as the 2021 pointiest hair of the year. And, 22, we kind of thought Ryan was going to hang it up. I thought he was done.
Well,
sure enough, down at NLC 9, in comes Ryan Carroll. The hair pointy as ever. So Ryan won.
So congrats to Ryan Carroll of Ronin Academy, pointiest hair of the
4 years in a row.
4 years running. That's even more impressive.
Yeah, it's a new year, though. I mean, we'll see. Maybe somebody will come after him this year. All right, now we're going into some real awards. So, personality of the year. This is, somebody who comes onto the scene and just really just makes some noise, man. Like somebody's got a big personality. So, 2019, Eric Music. Eric came out, had a couple fights. 2019, he fought at NLC 2 and NLC 3. Eric's awesome wrestler, man. I'd love to see that guy get back in here, but man, he had he had a awesome shirt. Oh, actually, I remember what it said. I can't even say it on here. 2020, Matt Workman from Dangus. Matt Workman from Dangus, son. Dude, Matt was hilarious. Matt was awesome. Matt was always going live, pumping up, promoting himself. And when word kind of got out. Why are you
talking about him like he's dead? That was hilarious. Well, he was awesome.
Matt is awesome.
Matt Workman
he's still alive. He's kicking. Let's see. Oh yeah, Matt kind of got wind that his opponent wasn't coming to the fight, dude. He was like on Facebook Live tagging everybody and like getting people. I guess he had some people to go pick his opponent up, and I don't know. He had a lot of people excited, man. Just crazy. 2021, David Messer. You guys remember that Macho Man video?
Absolutely one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. I love just such a fun person. Yeah. He's not only a tough guy, fun to watch him fight, but dude, just being around fun. He's a great person.
Yeah. And let's see, 22. Old Thorin Hensley, TJ Hensley, personality of the year. You got a lot of good stuff to say about that dude, man. You ever watch his video game
tough
streams?
one between. It was a tough one between Thorin and Brendan Kelly this year, as far as two people who came onto the scene, absolutely stole the show.
Yeah. All right, now we are going to go up to. All right, we're gonna kind of run these together. Gym of the year, coach of the year. You know, it's two separate categories, but we're gonna do these together here. So the 2019 Gym of the year, Turner Karate from Logan, West Virginia, owned by Carlos Turner. You know, a legend here, Karate Hall of Fame. And you know, a couple guys out of his gym, man, cornered a lot of fighters that first year of New Line. So the 2019 Coaches of the Year, Carlos Turner, Cody Abbott, and Josh Blair. And you saw Cody and Josh at all the fights and cornering their guys, cornering other people's guys, whoever needed somebody. But they won. I don't have that stat in front of me, but Turner Karate won the most fights of any team that year. It was close.
So
it was,
with this award, with this Gym of the Year, I think people probably want to know how, what was most wins that year.
Yeah, most wins by the most wins by that team. So Turner Karate did have the most fights. I believe Greg Dillon's team was right behind him. It was a couple fights, but it was close.
I remember them having a strong start. Like when I was at that event, they had a pretty good event that time.
That first event, they had a lot.
Yeah,
I think their numbers kind of went down a little bit after that, but Turner Karate was pretty consistent
through the first few events, though.
Yeah. So moving up to 2020, Gym of the Year. We only had one event, but East Kentucky Combat Club, they came in and I believe they went 3-0 or 4-0 that night. Coach of the Year 2020 is Josh Stepp, and they really came in. February 2020, they came in, put on a show. Their whole team, everybody came in, had an awesome performance. That night we saw the debut of Jacob Lemaster. We had Tim Blackburn, Lucas Spalding. That wasn't Lucas's first fight, but Lucas had a pretty quick boxing match that night. It was his second fight. So, so East Kentucky Combat Club. They unfortunately we only had one event that whole year due to COVID. We had a lot scheduled. We had fights. I think I was trying to do like 5 or 6 that year. We had them every other month. Everything got canceled. All right, moving up to 2021, Ground Zero Morgantown. Coaches Colin Caprini and Eli Hawkins. And moving up to and those guys, they've been with us since the beginning. They've been consistent. They've won a high percentage of their fights. They've won most of the fights they've had here. But
I can remember Eli, first New Line card. So they've been here since day.
Yeah, they've been there since the beginning. Eli, that came out, had his debut that night against a 3-0 opponent. We didn't have a lot of fighters, didn't have a lot of guys at 185 back then. And Eli, I had that guy, and Eli stepped up and fought him.
It would be, I would say that if you're looking at teams with the best winning percentages, they've got to be way up there.
Yeah. 21, they had a lot. They led us in wins, but they've been really consistent over the years. And 22, moving up to 2022, this was not even close, like not close at all. Silverback Gym and Fitness, with the coach of the year going to Chris Blankenship and Tucker Lambert. They had a lot of other coaches, but I believe those are the main two guys. They had CC Morgan. Maybe Tucker's dad. There's a lot of guys. Alex did a lot to help them. But man, they how many fights did they win? Was it like 43 or something like that this year? 33?
It was a ton. Absolutely insane from that initially for a new gym. They've only been around probably about a year, a little less than that. And those guys are doing some amazing stuff on the local scene.
Yeah, those guys are doing some big things, man. I love it, and they're still growing, and look forward to seeing how they're going to do things. I know they just bought a new ring. They're looking at some different spaces over there to really build a bigger boxing gym because they just don't have enough space for the amount of guys they have right now. So that was our 22 coach and gym of the year. All right, we're going to go up to most improved fighter. So 2019, we're giving this one to Zachary Craddock. Zach came out his first fight. I didn't know this at the time, but Zach and Tyler Estep, they fought each other in NLC 1 and 2. I didn't know they were best friends. And I think Tyler came in late looking for a fight, and we just didn't have a lot of guys available. And then Zach stepped up, he'll do it. I didn't realize he was doing it just to make sure his friend got a fight, but they came out and that first fight, Zach showed a lot of heart, but man, Tyler really put it on him that night. And Zach came out at our second event. They fought again, MMA the second time, and Zach took that one, and looked a lot better. And then NLC 3 was a weird thing. We had Zach fighting. Oh man, but who was he fighting that night? Daggone it, the dude backed out. Hang on, I'm gonna edit this.
It's unbelievable the bond that those two have. Tyler and Zach, training partners. I had to hear they'd fought. That was before my time. Up until we talked about it recently, I had no clue, and I can't. It's really wild to me.
Yeah, best friends. They went at it twice. I don't ever. I mean, yeah, they're 1-1, and I hope we never have a rubber match. Those guys they're so close, man. I won't ever ask them to fight each other again. Like, no,
I really don't.
What is it?
Like watching friends fight each other. I really don't.
No. I mean that's good. I mean, grow and be old men together, 1-1 against each other. Be funny to hear them always talk a little crap. What would have happened, but no, don't settle it. Zach really improved, man. He started out kind of doing his own thing, and then he joined up with Greg Dillon, and he did a little training there. But yeah, he really showed a lot of improvement from the first time we saw him to the second the third time he didn't get to fight. So he was there, man. His opponent literally backed out like as they were calling him out to the ring. So Zach's in the entranceway, ready to come out, warming up, shadow boxing, ready to come, and then the announcer announces that fight has been scratched due to injury. The other guy wasn't injured. So yeah, that was 2019. So then 2020, this is a guy that did start with us in 2019, Dalen Jimerson. Dalen came out. Dalen was supposed to fight at NLC 1. His opponent didn't show up. We had him somebody else. We messed him up at the event, and then that guy backed out after he saw Dalen. And then NLC 2, Dalen came out and he fought Raymond. No. And they had a really good fight. Dalen almost quit in between rounds after the first round. He really wanted to quit, and his coach, Jason Workman, was in the corner. Jason wouldn't let him, and I wouldn't say Jason. Jason was like, he's tired too. The other guy's tired. Look at him. Come out. Put it on him. He won't last. And Jason was right. Dalen came out, went at him. The other guy quit. So NLC 2, he had been training with Jason. He came out. I didn't know what he was going to look like. He was fighting Josh Bowling, who we know can box. And Dalen came out, man. We were expecting a brawler like the first fight. Like he was literally in the first fight just like brawling like it was a tough man contest. The second fight, he came out and he boxed, and he was working the body. He landed some big hooks to the body, some straights to the body. His left hand hurts. And he ended up stopping Josh in the first round. Completely different fighter. So, I mean, we gave him 2020 most improved. And 21. Go up to 2021. We're giving this one to Mr. Skylar Muller. Skylar is the guy who started with us in 2019. He fought Denzel Chapman in 2019. So we didn't really get to see much of Skylar that night because he was fighting Denzel Chapman. 2020, Skylar got his first MMA win. 2021, we really saw the improvement. And that was the year that he
incredible against Colin Caprini.
Yeah, that was the year that he beat Colin, and he also fought Zach Craddock, and they had a war, and he ended up losing that one. But man, like that was an awesome fight, and Zach, by 2021, Zach was really good, and Zach and Skylar had an absolute back and forth war.
Mahler is one of those guys. He has moments of absolute greatness. Like there's times when he really just shines.
Yeah, I
think he's just got to put it all together. Hell, we might see him improve in 2023 as well.
Yeah. Well, he was definitely if we had a most bulked up award for 2022, it would have been him. God. He went from 155 up to it was like John Jones, man. He gained like 40 pounds. He went from 55. I think he came in at like 95 that last fight, and it was pure muscle. He didn't have any fat on him.
You're always skeptical when you hear that a guy's gaining a bunch of weight and like going up 2 divisions.
Yeah, like, oh, did he become a truck driver?
He looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looked better at that weight class. I think he looked physically like an absolute animal.
He came in looking like an NFL running back for that fight. Like it was crazy. But he's been in the weight room, man, and he works a lot. He's a dad. I guess I don't know. His dad bod's a little different than mine is, I guess, but he had a kid, put on 40 pounds of muscle.
Like one of his like 10 years in solitary confinement, and all he did was work out.
Yeah.
He did.
Skylar's always been a strong dude, man. I've seen some of his weightlifting videos from high school when he was like 130 pounds and he was like throwing up 3 times his weight. Now that he's getting some age on him, he's getting the size to come with that power. Moving on to the 2022 most improved fighter of the year. This is a guy that, started the year off pretty rough and then, really surprised a lot of people. Eric Mon had his debut. He fought Rob Mayernick at our first boxing event in Huntington at the Doubletree, and which we're going to be going back to later this year. We're setting some dates right now. But Eric Mon came out and fought Rob, man. Eric was having some fun in there, and it was obvious he was having some fun, man. He was like living a dream, dude. The guy's like a big fight fan, loves this stuff, and got in there.
I don't know. I don't even know if it was him having fun or he was just insane. I think there was something.
It was something
with him that night.
Yeah. And that was the first time we saw Rob, dude. We didn't know what Rob was bringing to the table. I mean, we knew Rob was with a really good team, trained with some good people, had some awesome coaches, training partners. We didn't know what Rob was going to be like, and then Rob just came out, man, and that was a rough fight.
About it a lot before. It was such a bad fight for Eric. I thought maybe he shouldn't be doing this, but he proved me completely wrong. Best way possible.
What, like 6-7 weeks after that, we saw him fight at Baileysville. He fought Hunter Schmokel, and it wasn't like a beatdown, but Eric really, he looked like a completely different fighter that night, and took a unanimous decision
to the end of the year. He fights Phil Chapman for the title, and he makes it the distance. He doesn't win that fight, but he goes the distance with a guy who usually stops everybody.
Yeah. And
you asked for a better Cinderella story than that,
dude. That's one of the coolest things we've ever had happen, and the fact that it all happened in like a matter of what 10 months, just over 10 months.
I think that if he would have won that fight, people wouldn't have believed it. People would be like, "No, that's not true. That didn't happen." That's like a Hollywood movie. So I love it. I love the whole story of it. I love, and I love, I love as well a great champ and the camaraderie they have now, the friendship that they've made.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 22 most improved, man. That's Eric, and Eric's one of our
It's got
top.
to be
Eric Mon. I think I gave him a nickname this year, and he did not like it. What was it? Did he ever have his own nickname? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Eric
Until
Mon.
you can.
In June, or no, it was in May. I think it was in April or May. I gave him a nickname right leading up to his June event. Eric, come to Jamaica and have a good time, man. And he did not like that. I don't think he hated it. Maybe he hated it. I don't know. He didn't like it. It didn't stick. It didn't stick like I wanted to. I guess that's my thing now.
Well, now he's the Cinderella man.
Yeah, so. Cinderella man. All right, so we're gonna move up to comeback of the year, 2019. We saw a boxing veteran who was still a young guy, but a man who had a ton of boxing matches already. Austin Markham. Austin made his pro MMA debut. He fought a man who had probably 15 MMA fights already, and Nick Williard. It was Nick's pro debut, but Nick had a lot of amateur MMA experience, and that was Austin's debut, and Nick really exposed Austin's ground game. Austin had a big advantage on the feet. Nick had a big advantage on the ground, and however, Nick had been fighting 2 and 3 minute rounds, never fought more than like a 6 or 8 minute fight or something. Austin had been, fighting like 8 and 10 round boxing matches. And he had been traveling around fighting like legit guys, going to Florida, going to Vegas, fighting some big people, fighting these guys, 6, 8, 10 round fights. And so Austin was used to going to war. So they came out, man. Austin put it on him on the feet, and then Nick got him on his back. And it was like 3 minutes of elbows and just bombs from the mount. But Austin, he didn't know how to escape. He tried to escape. He just didn't know how. But, man, he ate a lot of shots. But he blocked a lot. He moved his head. Anytime the referee was like, you got to show me something, Austin was showing him something. Austin was there. He got cut open. He got busted open pretty good by some elbows. But, like the last minute of that round, I don't think Austin got hit. He was blocking everything. He just didn't know how to get up. But, I mean, it was a really bad round. And, like, what's crazy is when I go look at my stats, Nick from one fight is still, like, top 10 in total strikes landed. And it was all from one round. And, like, strikes thrown. Like, it was probably a couple hundred strikes he threw that round, all from mount. But yeah, the second round, Austin came out, man, and Nick thought he had his number, so try to take him down, and Austin stuffed a couple takedowns, landed some big shots, ended up knocking him out. A major comeback. So,
and it's awesome. We're gonna see some back, and so it's not. Like, I don't know he'd ever done MMA, and it's wild to think that he jumped into pro MMA with no experience.
Yeah, nothing.
It just shows how game he is.
Dude, he's an athlete. I've played football, basketball with him. Dude, if Austin wanted to be a pro volleyball player, he could figure it out. Dude, he's just a really good athlete. He always has been.
So he's one of those dudes. You got 6 months. I want you to become an Olympian. He's the damnedest.
He could do it. He'll probably figure out how to do it without having a coach too. Watch a couple videos and then go out and just put in the work, man. All while working full time and being a dad. He'll go do it. So 2020, comeback of the year. This was an awesome fight. Really, I guess could have been fight of the year too. Mark Verity versus Luke Lago. Right? Lago. Dude, Luke came out looking really good.
Luke's Legos.
Luke dropped Mark, I think in the second round maybe, and it was a good shot. Mark went down kind of slow, kind of rolled over. Good shot. It wasn't just like something that caught him off balance. I mean, it was a crisp shot, man. And Luke was looking like he was about to take home the win. And dude, Mark, like that lit a fire under him. And at the time, I think Mark was like 45 years old too. But old man strength came out. And dude, Mark ended up coming back. I think he dropped Luke that same round and finished him the next round.
Wow.
It was an awesome fight. Like it's on
we
YouTube.
know now how game Luke is. He's such a great fighter.
Yeah.
So to have a win over him, that's a healer in your cap.
Yep. And I believe that's the fight that moved Mark up to 4-0 as an amateur kickboxer. But when you're in your mid 40s, all the all the medicals you have to pass just to fight, like it just got to be too hard. So Mark went ahead and hung it up. But I mean, he hung it up undefeated with a couple good wins. He had a win over Andre Williams. Who else did he beat? What is it?
Try to cap it off too with a knockout of Luke Lago.
Yeah,
that's a great retirement fight, and a comeback victory as well.
Mm-hmm. Comeback victory over the young man.
I think those are my favorite fights. Are the comebacks, the fights where you see guys getting absolutely dominated, and then they land that one big shot, and everything changes.
And speaking of that, we move to the 2021 comeback of the year. Skylar Mahler and Colin Caprini. And that was a completely one-sided fight. Skylar came into that fight 2-0 kickboxing. And I think 1-1 MMA or 1-2 MMA. And Colin came in. He was like a 9-fight veteran in MMA. I don't know that he had kickboxed at the time, but Colin's like one of the top guys in West Virginia, and Colin absolutely demolished him. And I think this,
that was one of
this fight.
No, I think that was one of the first fights, I believe. That was NLC 6. And that fight was bananas for as long as it lasted.
Yeah.
Like Colin absolutely beating him like he owed him money. It was bad. Yeah. And what is it that said about it? That high kick.
Yeah, pissed him off.
As soon as Colin landed that high kick is when Mahler came with that overhand.
Yeah. Just like blasted him right on the temple. Yeah.
Don't you remember what he said? He said, "I don't like feet in my face."
He doesn't like feet in his face, people.
Don't try to kick Skylar Mahler.
No, don't kick Skylar. Make him mad. But man, that was a wild fight. That was a very entertaining fight for as long as it lasted. If it hadn't been so one-sided for a long time, that could have been one of the fight of the year, maybe fight of the year.
Well,
but
it definitely could have been if it had just lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah,
the fight was only like a minute long.
Yeah,
that.
And man, Colin didn't want to quit. Colin got up, dude, but his equilibrium was gone. Like Colin's like, "I'm good, I can fight," but his legs were gone. He wanted to go. Yeah. So moving up to 22, I'm thinking this fight may have went to the third round. Marvin Workman and Zach Kennedy, and Zach came into this fight like Zach was looking awesome. Zach was looking sharp, clean, landing like a high percentage of his strikes. We hadn't seen Zach fight since he fought Ethan. Much improved. This was Zach's third fight. Zach's first fight a couple years ago, he fought Josh Blair. Josh Blair was a multiple-time tough man, rough and rowdy tournament champion. Josh was also, I'm pretty sure he was undefeated MMA, undefeated amateur boxing. He did have a couple losses in I think rough and rowdy when he first got into it before he was training, but like Josh turned into he was like the top boxer in the region for a
You
little
know,
bit.
that's news to me. I had no idea that he fought Josh.
Yeah. So and yeah,
I
that
thought
was
that his debut was in Hearts.
yeah. So he took a few years off and he came back and he fought. The first time we saw Ethan Blackburn was he fought Zach Kennedy, and that I mean that was a competitive fight. But Ethan had such a reach advantage, height advantage, and Zach just couldn't get in. Every time Zach wanted to do something, Ethan was either gone, or Ethan was hitting him with a jab, and Zach just couldn't get anything off. And so Zach took a little time, wanted to sharpen up his skills, and finally we got to see Zach fight somebody, his size, which I guess Josh was his size years ago, but that was Josh was a dog then too. But Zach dominated this fight. You called it. Tell us about it.
Well, I thought it was all Zach. It looked really Marvin. Zach looked super sharp. He was throwing straight punches and he was landing shots that were rocking Marvin's head back. Like it was bad. I didn't know how Marvin stayed on his feet that first round. And then out of nowhere, it's like just decided in the fight. Came out and started bombs. Caught Zach, I believe, with a body shot is what dropped him.
Yeah.
I think he caught him. And which is funny because that's exactly what hurt Marvin in this fight against Brittany Vaughn. She was really digging body. And maybe he saw the effectiveness of working there because hurt after that fight. Yeah. And you see now in this one, and he got the finish pulled out of his ass. That's what I told him. I walked into the cage and right up to him and I said, "You just your ass, my friend." And I couldn't have been happier. I went after that one. That's probably one of the craziest I've ever for a fight as commentary. I lost it for him.
That was an awesome moment for him, man. And then that backflip.
My God.
Dude, that was incredible. Yeah, that scared me.
I didn't notice how great it was until I watched the pay-per-view, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's athletic.
I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. Every time Marvin wins, dude, he does a backflip in the ring or whatever. We shouldn't be surprised.
Backflip off the cage.
Off the cage.
You can't get any better than that.
Who is it? Is it Gaethje that does that?
Yeah, I believe it is.
We need to start a poll. Who did it better?
It was definitely Marvin Workman.
Yeah.
Especially with the poop stain and everything.
Oh, yeah. We're putting that on the screen.
What happened to Marvin? But something happened.
Something happened. We don't know what happened. Something happened. All right. It's
ugly.
Got a picture of him, you and him, I believe, from the interview. Get that big brown stain on his butt.
That's my favorite picture taken of me in the fight world. You see
it was a good shot.
Happy I am. I was so happy. That captured that was I didn't know I was being photographed. That's pure joy of seeing Marvin fights.
Dude, Marvin's just an awesome guy. I love talking to Marvin.
That photo was snapped literally as I was telling Marvin, you pulled it out of your ass. See, that's what's going on there.
Yeah. Marvin's awesome. So we're gonna move on to submission of the year 2019. Do you have what do you think of that? What do you think in 2019? I'll tell you who it was. NLC 1.
Where it belongs.
NLC 1. Standing guillotine. Elijah Thacker over Keith Pecora II. NLC 1. Going all the way back to the beginning. Elijah, best submission of the year. Congratulations, pal.
Submission of any year ever, not just see. I think it holds a
Elijah, a little 165-pound Elijah Thacker, or 160, whatever you were that night.
I don't even know if that was the same man. that you're talking to now. So
yeah. What would happen?
This version, that version of Elijah.
If you had to fight 2019 Elijah, and there's nobody there to pull him off of you, like what are you gonna do?
I got to get on top of him. He's a little fella.
Yeah, smash that little guy.
I
don't know if you can do it.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know who would win in a fight between me now and me in 29. I definitely had the better cardio then.
Oh yeah.
I was a little bit meaner, I believe.
Mm-hmm. You wanted it then. I don't think 2019 Elijah would give up to you. I don't think he would tap out. No matter what. No matter what.
I was.
No matter what. He's not tapping.
I had too much pride.
Yeah.
I was lucky I never caught in anything in like a competition or something.
Yeah. You would have died.
I would have been stupid.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I would go out on your shield, people.
Yeah. You want to talk about that submission?
Well, I guess I could walk you through it there. I remember him coming out and he threw this little, he was, first of all, let's say that. I remember him going up to the athletic for the fight. And I heard him telling him how he's going to head kick me and knock me out. So right, I was like, started off with this sidekick. He was a karate guy, and so I just came in with a jab. First jab I hit him with, it kind of busted his nose, and that was where I found my moment to get that clinch. Once I got a hold of his neck and got that front, I kind of knew it was over. But really, part about that whole of remembering that submission, my grip there, I used knee to kind of make him think about that, and then I used that to switch my grip, and I knew I had it then. I felt him tap really, and I just let go because in training, you let go. I'm a nice guy. The ref didn't see it. If Keith would have been a jerk, he could have easily said, "I didn't tap." The fight would have. Yeah, he could have done that. He could. They call that the old Brazilian tap, and he could have pulled that. But thankfully, he's like, "Yeah, I tapped." And I remember talking to the ref about after. It was Matt and Matt Jones.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Wait until I stop the fight before you let go." But that was a great moment. And it's an honor to win. Honor to be considered for this prestigious award.
Yeah. Couldn't have went to anybody better, man. And I was always wondering if Matt even remembered you because you look like a completely different person. It's like, I wonder if Matt even knows that was the same person that he sees every event now. Has Matt got to ref your boxing yet, or was it just Billy?
It's Billy both times.
Billy both times. Okay. So we're going to move on to the 2020 submission of the year. Drum roll. We didn't have any submissions in 2020. It was all knockouts. Maybe one or two.
So I'm getting that one too, right?
You kept your title.
I'm like defending champion through 2020.
Defending champion from NLC 1. Still got the submission title. All right, moving on to 21.
I'll be the longest reigning submission title winner in history of NLC. Unless we have another pandemic or like a nuclear holocaust.
Or just like a couple years of all knockouts. I don't know. As many boxing matches we got going on, we might not see a lot of submissions. Unless Chance Grillick comes around, he's going to take that from you. But moving on to 21. Devin Stanley at NLC 7 put on a striking clinic. He's fighting a wrestler, and he put on a striking clinic, man, against Sullivan Montgomery. And Sullivan was talking about Skylar being built like a tank. Sullivan was built like a tank, dude. Sully was like ripped, but he was scary.
I remember him at weigh-ins. I was like, this guy looks like the real deal. Yeah. Devin Stanley made it look like easy work out there. And his striking had frustrated that we saw him do something you don't see pulled guard.
Yeah.
Like you had that guy so frustrated, and it was a terrible mistake because he wound up right in that Darce choke. Picture perfect finish by Devin Stanley. Bananas almost knocked the pay-per-view offline.
That was that moment, wasn't it? That's
what that.
Which is in that moment. So thanks to Devin Stanley, we have a really cool GIF. So if anybody's out there watching, go on, hit that GIF button, type in Elijah Thacker, boom, boom, boom. It's up. It's there. You can thank Devin Stanley for that one.
Favorite part of that is you can see my pen up in the air in one frame of
it. All right, we're going to move on to 2022. NLC 8, Chance Grillett. He's in there fighting Preston Starsher. That was Preston's NLC debut. And the fight didn't last long.
It was an incredible fight. And like just a pure like jiu-jitsu purist fight. Chance comes out there. He eats a right hand from Preston right off. Didn't like it. So immediately goes for that clinch, makes the smart decision, closes the distance, and pulls guard. You don't see a lot, like I say. But he does it perfectly and goes straight into the armbar. It switch hips right into it, and I had the tap almost immediately. It couldn't have went better. Basically, it's as good as it gets for a jiu-jitsu guy with that win.
Yeah, that was smooth, really smooth. And Preston at the time was a wrestler and hadn't been doing jiu-jitsu. Preston learned a lot from that fight because now we see Preston going for that armbar that he got caught with, and he realized there his wrestling wasn't enough and he needs some jiu-jitsu, and Preston became a much better fighter from that. All right, we're going to move up to knockout of the year, 2019. We had a couple good knockouts, but there was one that just really stood out, and it also made it hard to match this guy up for a while. Chase Stafford at New Line Cagefighting 3, head kick over Chris Smith. And, Chris is a really good fighter too. But man, that was a kick that scared me, and like Chris ate that kick and just stiffened up like standing, and like Chase came in and landed maybe 3 strikes while Chris was still standing straight up, but he was out, and that was one that really scared me, and I think it scared a lot of people because we couldn't match Chase up for a while, man. Everybody's like, "That's the head kick guy. That's the head kick guy." No way. Chase has some long legs, man. Chase will kick you from pretty far away.
That's the first fight I think in New Line cage fighting history that people knew about it that didn't know about New Line. People saw that KO. It was traveling around like one of those that it was shocking. It was brutal, and it was lovely. I absolutely love watching that fight. I every now and then I'll see it on YouTube, and I'll click every time. I'm like, I got to see that. He sent that guy to the shadow realm.
Yeah,
like you don't such.
If there's anything that happened here that you don't really need to describe it, you just say the kick. Like people know.
Yeah,
the kick.
I think it's the most violent knockout maybe we've ever seen in New Line cage fighting history.
Yeah.
There's been a couple like recently Dewan Cal over Khalil Smoot. That was one of those that was like, oh my God, it when you see it because everybody, the whole crowd, so loud, the roar of it, dead silent.
There was at NLC 4. Well, I was about to talk about another knockout. That's our next award up. So
let's hear it.
NLC 4, the 2020 knockout of the year, and this was another scary one. Skylar Mahler over Zachary Dehart. Dude, that was nasty. And this one came from ground and pound. I don't remember, how the fight went down to the mat, but it ended up Skylar took full mount. A lesson that Skylar learned from fighting Denzel in his previous fight. Denzel got the mount on him and put it on him, and Skylar learned from that. Utilized his next fight, took full mount. Dude, pounded the guy out to sleep. Mouthpiece went flying, and it was one of those things where
the power has, even with ground and pound.
Yeah.
That dude scares me. I wouldn't want to get hit by Skylar Mall.
No, really? No way. Skylar's always one punch.
The power created in those shots when Eli Hawkins had his back in that last fight. I've never seen any of that.
No. I want to ask. I kind of want to ask Eli.
They have that power.
I kind of want to ask Eli about those shots. Boom, boom. The dude had knockout power in that angle.
I've seen guys in the UFC at that level doing that, but it's just pitter patter shots just to be doing something.
Yeah.
And usually it's not very effective, but he went to a level where Eli moved.
Yeah.
Like he had to get out of there and change positions to stop it.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, so Skylar's got that. Skylar's got some power, man. And the referee got in there as quick as he could, but Skylar had stopped throwing punches. Like the job was done. Skylar could have landed another one or two really quick, but he stopped. And thank you, Skylar, for stopping. Could have really done some damage there. But yeah, knockout of the year, 2020, Skylar Muller. All right, so 2021 knockout of the year, and this was a crazy one. I think you and I watched this fight the other day when we were on a Zoom call. I was playing this one. David Stroll over Joe Catterton. This was the fight where they start off, they come out and both guys land a hook, double knockdown. Then they climb back to their feet, and David was hurt. I think Joe was a little bit hurt, but David was really hurt. And then Joe landed another shot, dropped him again. I think maybe he fell. Then he got up. Dave got hit again, went down. He went down 2 or 3 times. Then it's starting to really look kind of one-sided because he's hurt. His legs are gone. And Joe's like a 24-1 amateur boxer. And Joe was just blasting him, man. And David ran around the other side of the cage trying to create some space. Joe stayed on him. Man, David landed a big, was it a hook? Yeah, big right hook. And man, just like that, one of the cleanest.
It was brutal knockout, and what a comeback! That could have been a comeback of the year.
Yeah,
in the run, like you say, he was fighting a really talented boxer.
Yeah,
the guy out cold is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Joe had Joe's last MMA fight before that. Crazy story. Joe was going for a takedown, and this wasn't here at NLC. This was in Maryland, I believe. But Joe goes for a takedown. The cage door wasn't locked, so Joe's driving. Man, they go right through the door, off the platform, dude. He comes down head first, boom, on top of his head, knocks himself out cold. Didn't fight for years after that. How unfortunate. So like that whole day, Joe's like, please make sure that the cage doors are locked. Please make sure. And like, I was like, man, I'm gonna. So when their fight came
how
up,
weird did you think it was when at first he kept saying that, and you're like, what's this guy?
Yeah, no, he told me the story, man. But like then on fight day, it kind of like no, it was like seriously in his head. I mean, how could it not be after?
I couldn't imagine it took him out for years.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he got to fight again, man.
This is but have you seen that recently? They had an event in Japan, and they had him on an elevated platform with no wall, and this dude landed a huge the guy right off the platform, and they were both so hurt. It was crazy.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Oh man, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. Old Joe's back to fighting though. He hasn't been back to New Line since then, but he's been fighting in Maryland, man. I'd like to get him back over. He's really good. His
As long as he doesn't go to Japan, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, he's a teammate of our current lightweight
He's
champ,
see
Jason
those
Wilson.
fights in Japan and start having like PTSD facts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Stay away from Japan. Knockout of the year, 2022. Elijah, this was one of your guys. You know, you had your gym up at Hearts Underdog Fight Academy, and Mikey Mitchell came out. He fought Jared Burns, who was still undefeated at the time. This was actually Jared's last fight before going pro. You want to talk about that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. Mikey the Viking, absolute warrior, very quiet guy, dynamite. And I think we really got to see it in this last one. He had a great training camp. He was such assistant in the gym. He was motivated. He looked amazing in there, and it was just a brutal finish. Stopped him first, and then followed it up and got a second knockdown. That was there. And Burns was in bad shape. That knockout. That was one of those where you knew he's hurt. You know, I love Jared. He's a good guy. I talked to him after that fight. He knew where he was.
Jared's a tough guy, man. Jared, I mean, there were a lot of shots.
Warren Hensley now.
God, yeah.
And made it 3 rounds into the fight before Thorne stopped him.
Yeah, they were
Mikey was able to stop him in 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But Mikey was able to stop that guy in 2 rounds, and it just shows the power that Mikey carries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Burns is tough. He's dog tough. He never stops coming forward. But when Mikey hit him, it was a different world.
Yeah.
And I attest to that, sparring with the guy. I'm lucky he's so nice because he could have really hurt me. But all the time, man, he won't hit you. He's one of those guys in the gym like you don't see what he's got. That last week or two.
Oh yeah. Before, you said he was a different guy entirely.
Oh yeah, he started turning it on with me. I was like, man, this guy has crazy power. And not just power, he's clean, he's technical. Mm-hmm. I really want to see him back in the ring. So I hope we see him back in 2023.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see Mikey come back and make a run at that title because I know that's something he could do. I mean, he's for a guy that size, he reminds me of like a DeJuan Calloway, you know, like a really big guy, but also very technical.
Oh, and he's got the right attitude as well.
Deceivingly quick.
He reminds me of DeJuan in that sense too. Like DeJuan's quiet, and very polite and very kind-hearted kind of guy. That's how Mikey is. But they're savages. Don't. But congratulations to my friend Mikey the Viking Mitchell. Beautiful note, and I know there's going to be more to come.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for giving me Knockout of the Year for 2022. Couldn't have did it without my team at Underground Fight Academy. Elijah Thacker, Michael Watts, Rex White, Jeremy Browning, and the rest of you guys. If I left anybody out, I'm sorry. But thank you guys.
All right, we're moving up to the Newcomer of the Year. So this award is going to go to somebody that's, they're not a rookie. It's not their, first time doing this, but, they're new to us. So somebody that has been fighting somewhere else and, switched over, came over to New Line and did some stuff here. So 2019, this was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, there were a couple pretty good guys, and, everybody was new to us back then. We had a lot of rookies, but everybody was new to us. But one that really stood out, Denzel Chapman. Denzel Chapman made his NLC debut at New Line 2, where he fought Skylar Muller in MMA, really put on an MMA clinic. It was cool for Denzel to get to fight in front of his fans again, his friends, his family, everybody from Mingo County. I think he had fought there in that building several years before in a rough and rowdy brawl tournament that he won, but he had been competing, I think, in Pittsburgh and Morgantown, but got to come down and he did that. And then in the NLC 3, also at Williamson that year, he fought kickboxing over at Williamson. And, man, it was a really good fight and gave him Newcomer of the Year for that year, man.
Got to give it up. Ugliest man in boxing. starting off 2019 with a bang.
Upchurch himself.
Now this year he's gonna get old comer of the year.
Old timer of the year. If anybody hasn't noticed this yet, we didn't do like a big release, big announcement or anything, but we released a little logo this year, our new MMA logo, and kind of like NBA's got Jerry West on the logo. Take a look at our logo.
You know what we should do? We should have done a contest, see if the people could guess who was on it.
Mm-hmm. Who is that?
Now. You've already ruined it now.
It's ruined. Well, I guess that I don't know how far we are into this awards show, but hey, cheat code. All you gotta do to win that contest is watch this awards show. All right.
Denzel.
It's Denzel. 2020 newcomer of the year. We only had the one event, but we had this guy. This guy's legit, man. Kevin Miller, who is our current heavyweight MMA champion, for the amateur division, and Kevin is going pro in May. He was going to go pro in March, just couldn't find him a fight. So we're still looking for. It may still happen. Who knows? Somebody may come up, but
Kevin Miller is a dangerous fighter.
Kevin Miller, an elite wrestler, an elite kickboxer, elite boxer. He's got it all. Kevin's got all the tools you need, and he's a big, strong, smart guy. Works hard. He's got all the tools you need. Excited to see what he's going to do as a pro. But yeah, Kevin came down to NLC 4. He was a last minute fill-in. Actually, we had Justin Bartram was supposed to fight Steve Walton. Something happened. Steve couldn't make it, so I don't know who I had Kevin matched with, but then we switched him up. Man, that was a bad idea. Like I don't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what Kevin was bringing. Just another heavyweight from West Virginia. But he was 1-0. Hadn't fought, and I think he hadn't fought in like 7 years.
Turned out not your typical heavyweight from West Virginia.
No, definitely not. So moving on to
different animal, and I'm excited to actually be able to see him live. That's a big thing I'm looking forward to this year.
Moving on to 21, newcomer of the year. This is one of your buddies here. Jacob Ray. Jacob Ray burst onto the NLC scene at was that NLC 6 or NLC 5. He fought.
It sounds familiar.
So he came in. He was willing to fight anybody, anytime, any sport. Didn't matter what he said. He didn't care if it was like medieval sword combat, kickboxing, MMA boxing. He didn't care. He just wanted to put somebody in front of him and he's going to throw down. And he did. And, a lot of the time on fight day, people don't show up or something happens. I got in a wreck or so-and-so, something happened to my mom. It's always something, right? Well, I don't know. Several hours before the fight, I get a text from Jacob Ray, got in a car wreck over here in Del Barton. Don't worry, I'll be there. Immediately, I start worrying because I hadn't met him yet. It was the first time Jacob's fighting for us. I'm like, oh no, here we go, because I've heard it before. We had a lot of guys wreck on their way to a fight. Well, it's like getting time, like past time where he should be there. Like, where's he at? Get a hold of him. I'm on the way. Not long after that, I get a call from somebody else. Hey, Jacob Ray got in a car wreck. I'm like, I know. He got in a car wreck at Del Barton like 2 hours ago. Like, no, he just got in a wreck at Chapmanville. Now he's running. Dude, he got in 2 wrecks on the way to the fight. I'm like, I've heard it all now. I've heard it all. He's not coming. He calls me. He's like, I'm running down the 4 lane.
Drive. Moral of the story, Jacob Ray can't drive.
Yeah. Jacob, dude, he left his car on the side of the road and started running to Madison from Chapmanville. And he's already late. Luckily, somebody saw him and somebody that was coming to watch him fight saw him running down the side of the road and picked him up. And he came
Here we go.
This is like, what was fight of the year for that year.
There's Jacob running down 119 with his boxing glove.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't go into fight of the year yet.
That kid's a wild man. We all know it. He couldn't make it to Tough Man. Car broke down. The dude was going to try to ride from Del Barton to Huntington on his dirt bike.
He'll do whatever it takes, man.
Oh,
he just wants to fight. Yeah. Was that when you picked him up and took him?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, I can't let you do it on your dirt bike.
But yeah, man,
I knew he would have gotten a call to bail him out because he was going to make it to that fight one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
and
that was crazy.
He did it, and he won that jacket.
Yeah. Won the whole thing, man.
But yeah, he in 2021 he came scene, and it's been up ever since. He had a stumbled there once against Tyler Estep, came back, won the rematch, and we're gonna see him fight again here on the 28th. It's been incredible to watch that kid.
Yeah, man, he's definitely burst onto the scene, and he won our tournament last year at Baileysville, and he's done a lot, man, ever since he came in. So moving up to the 2022 newcomer of the year, man, this was a tough one. We had a lot of new guys. Chris Blankenship this year, Armani Belmont this year. There's Callaway. There's been a lot of really, really good new fighters come in. But one that really stood out, Rick Randolph, the Beast. I knew nothing about Rick before Baileysville in April. I didn't know anything about Rick at all. And I guess he hadn't really had any sanctioned fights up to that point, but a lot of backyard fights at street. He was already a street beefs legend. Rick came in, walked through our tournament at Baileysville. Was leagues ahead of everybody in skill, but he didn't come in trying to hurt anybody either. Rick, kind of fought down to their level and made it, it was really a sparring match for Rick, but these guys, it was a fight to those guys.
Made it a fun night though. I mean, like that guy, his presence there, his walkout. I mean, it's something to forget. The guy's got a level of skill that you can't forget either. We see him come into the state out and just very mysteriously and then run through everybody. He ran through Chase Stafford and nobody would fight.
Everybody's running from Chase Stafford and Rick runs through Chase Stafford.
And made it look easy. Like Chase had a few moments here and there, but let's face it, Rick really put on a clinic there. He showed his experience in that fight.
Yeah.
And I think I was surprised at how one-sided it was because I expected Chase to more competitive because he's a tough guy. We've all seen how good Chase is. It just shows how good Rick is.
Yeah. And then he went to Huntington and beat Gary Rowland in Gary's hometown. And I'm sure a lot of people were very aware of Gary. And I mean, that was a really close fight though. But Rick came in from Chicago and took a decision in Huntington in Gary's hometown.
If you wanted to find like a tank in human form, it's Gary Rowland. That dude's a monster. And he's so hard to deal with. See, that was the first time we saw Rick actually have a challenge on his hands. That was a close one. And like Gary had his moments, but Rick fought a fight. He landed the shots. He looked like the smarter fighters. He fought a beautiful defensive fight against Rowland, who's an incredible offensive fighter.
Yep. And now we are going to move up to fight of the year. So these were really hard to narrow down. So we kind of like broke it up into, by sport. So, we have a fight of the year for boxing, kickboxing, and MMA for each year. And still, these were still hard to narrow down. We've had a lot, like what we say, 247 fights we've had, and to narrow it down to 3 fights a year. So starting in 2019, kickboxing. A guy you're familiar with, Josh Dotson and Chris Pontier from St. Albans or not St. Albans. Dude, these guys put on a really good kickboxing match. NLC 2. Yeah, NLC 2. Dude, that was an awesome fight. And before Jacob Ray had claimed those pink gloves, those were Chris's gloves. They matched his shorts perfect. But that was an awesome fight. You know, Chris came out and took the decision win. But man, like Josh made it a war. And Josh was like a veteran of what, like 11, 12 MMA fights up to that point. Chris was also a veteran of he had fought Muay Thai before. He had 10 MMA fights, and then so that was two veterans came in and really put on a show.
Take scrap, and Josh is such a good guy. It was awesome in there and win fight of the night, and now fight of the year. So congratulations, little buddy.
The 2019 boxing match of the year: Tyler Estep and Zachary Craddock, best friends. We've already talked about that fight a little bit, but
they also best friends award, the joint award.
Yeah,
fight of the year and best friends award.
Yep, best friends of the year, BFFs. 2019 MMA fight of the year. This was also from our first event, NLC 1, the main event at NLC 1. At the time, these were the ranked number 1 and number 2 bantamweights in the state of West Virginia. Cody Abbott, who was 4-1, and then Matt Tennant, I think, was 3-1 or 4-1 also. Man, these guys had a really good fight. This was one of those fights that I thought it was going to be 5 rounds. I didn't know that we couldn't do 5-round title fights, but man, it really should have been 5 rounds. These guys fought hard from first minute all the way up to the end of the fight. Man, it was a really, really good fight. Cody won I don't remember if it was split or unanimous. Cody won a decision. He was our first ever champion. He had the 135 title and went pro after that. But yeah, it was another fight you and I watched the other day. We do that sometimes. We'll get on Zoom and watch some fights together, some old New Line fights. That was a good one.
So much fun because I haven't seen a lot of these from the early days. The only 2 fights from the early days are me and my fight and Dustin Looney, my teammate from back then. So it's really cool going back and seeing all these guys I know that I did. I've never gotten to see them back then. Fought on the same card together. I was so self-absorbed that not give a damn about anybody but me. I didn't watch a single fight that night, dude.
Dude, you were up, man. You were like crunk after that fight. You were. I remember talking a little bit leading up to that fight, dude. Like you were like so serious. Like nobody was like taking it as serious as you. That was pretty cool. But yeah.
Definitely NLC 1, your first event is definitely probably it's gotta be one of the best nights I can ever remember. And it'll always hold a special place in my heart. I'm sure for you too. I mean, it was your first event ever.
Yeah, one of my best friends in the world, Greg Robinson, and we put that show on, and we didn't know what we were getting into. Dude, so many things went wrong leading up to that. So many things went wrong that day. It was like, in my mind now, looking back, I feel like it was all a disaster, but it was also like awesome at the same time. There was so many things we weren't like I've fought, I've coached, I've worked with the commission, I've been a ref, judge, inspector. I've done everything except promote. And I'm like, all right, I'm putting on my own show, kind of have an idea of how things are going to go. But man, I didn't know how a lot of that was going to go down, and just constantly being pulled this direction, that direction. That was the night I was like, I need to hire more help. I need to have people doing this.
Oh yeah, that was the I didn't watch my fight because you were like serving hot at the concession stand.
Yeah, there at first. So I missed a lot of the fight. I know the only 2 fights I watched was Looney Hawkins and then Abbott and
I got a that I've never talked about this fight, and
what?
you asked me what the submission was, and I told you what it was, and then you went and announced it.
Who?
You
What was your submission?
you went and told it was a Marcellatine.
Marcellatine.
Yeah.
When did I announce that? Tonight.
That's no back right. You don't remember coming up to me right after the fight and asking me what the submission was?
No.
Yeah, it happened. I guess you didn't see it because you came up to we're doing the announcements. Me what it was. I don't know. And I said Marcellatine, and then I see you put it down as guillotine. I was like, he didn't even listen to me.
Where did I put that? I didn't put that down.
Then the results.
Oh no, the commission does that.
Well, the commission doesn't know what they're talking about.
You hear that, JP Stevens? You hear that, JP? We're talking to you, JP. Yeah, we're talking to you, JP. Oh yeah.
Oh man. But NLC won. Yeah. Event. That's the only memories I have from it, though. Other than you say, everything that's wrong. It's funny you say that because it makes me think. Because in my own life, like my journey to that fight was the same way. So you've got all these things going wrong at your event. Can you imagine how many fighters on the card were like same section, like everything apart?
Yeah,
and they realized, hey man, the whole card's falling apart.
It is, dude. Somebody stole all of our tape and gauze, dude. Greg and I bought this big box of tape.
Somebody stole your gloves too, didn't they?
Yeah,
They've stolen about everything you've had over the years.
43 pair of gloves. I thought I had my 2 buddies going to run the glove table for me. That was like their job. Well, they set the glove table up, and then they went upstairs and sat in the crowd and watched. So I didn't have anybody to run the glove table.
By the end of the night, no gloves.
Dude, I had to go. I was in the back asking people for tape and gauze. I had to go take gloves back from fighters that I knew had
like a beggar at your own event.
I paid, dude. These 2 guys charged me $20 for some tape, like 5 rolls of tape. But we had fighters that needed to get their hands taped up. We had no tape. After I had a box this big full of tape, I had enough tape for like 5 years of fights. I had way too much tape. I don't know why I brought it all to the event. I learned a lesson that night.
Paranoid. After that first event, you got paranoid though and started overstocking tape.
Yeah, right. Funny story, right? So Ryan Carroll,
I've seen you hoard that tape like a dragon now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, they all know it. They hoarding that tape.
Yeah. Well, whoever stole it, it's their fault. Funny story about that. Ryan Carroll was wrapping hands, and Ryan's like, "Man, I was wrapping everybody's hands." It was like
that night.
Nobody had coaches that knew how to wrap hands, so everybody was going to Ryan Carroll. Ryan was like wrapping everybody, and he was sitting there and had a line of people waiting on him. He said he looks over and there's somebody comes over beside him and grabs the tape. So in his head, he's like, "Hell yeah, I got somebody gonna help me wrap these guys." No, they took the tape and left. All the tape and gauze, dude. We had like it was like the biggest box of tape ever, man. Like it was like bulk box of medical tape. I can't even find that size anymore. But it was like a ton of tape. Gone. Oh my gosh, gone. I ended up sending my brother-in-law Chris to Walmart because I went and got some tape in the locker room. We had that and there was no gauze. Like nobody had gauze. So whoever took my gauze wouldn't give it back to me. I'm like, who's got some gauze?
The award for biggest new line controversy thief of 2019.
Tape and gauze thief. And then whoever took all the gloves. We had 43 pair of gloves, man.
Oh my God.
43 pair of gloves. Gone. I didn't have a single pair of gloves after that night.
I guess we better get back on track.
Yeah,
what's
back
up next?
On track. 2020 kickboxing fight of the year. We talked about it earlier. Mark Faherty, Luke Lago. Talked about that fight.
That was a heck of a finish, too.
Pretty sure I was telling you this. I was like, this could even be fight of the year, and it was. 2020 boxing match of the year. Another one we talked about a little bit earlier. There was only one event in 2020, we already talked about all of these fights. 2020 boxing match of the year: Dalen Jemerson, Josh Bowling. And that was a fight where Jemerson won by a first round knockout, and he also won most improved for that one.
Body work that Dalen does. I'm
Beautiful.
telling you, I don't know anybody in West Virginia that rips to the body like that man does.
I wouldn't want to fight that. Just like one body shot from Dalen is going to hurt this old man.
I took him in sparring, and by the end of round one, you start feeling them, and it's like, you really start to hate that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you every time he hits you with a.
Everybody that's fought him has told me about that, and even if they beat Dalen, like they're going to remember Dalen from those body shots. We saw it in his last fight.
Most guys are like hesitant to go to the body. I am like I don't throw enough to the body. His word count, but he's got that down perfect. He's so confident throwing that he throws everything into it. If he would go to the head like that, we'd see him knocking people in the next week. He's got power.
He's got the power.
Just not got the confidence yet.
Yeah.
Wait till we see that. If we ever do, because Dalen is dangerous. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm thinking he's going to try to make a run at it this year because he was talking to me the other day, asking me what he's got to do to get a title shot. I told him he just needs a couple of wins.
I think that Dalen has a chance at that title.
Yeah,
but he's got to fight. It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing with Dalen. He's got to become a killer. Yeah. He is a killer with a shot. He follow up. I think once he starts learning to follow up to the head and getting confident doing that, he will be putting people to sleep.
Yeah. Once he develops a jab, he's going to be trouble for some people because he really doesn't. He doesn't even use the jab at all. He leads with that left to the body.
He definitely needs to get more defensively sound. He's gotten by on his toughness a lot.
Yeah.
But he's tougher than hell.
Yeah. So moving on to the 2020 MMA fight of the year. This was an absolute, I mean, you think about that Don Fry fight, we had this year. Matt Workman, Ryan Hall. These guys stood toe-to-toe and just both of them. Boom, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Dude, they threw down. The crowd went nuts. We had way too many people in that room. We were over the limit on whatever the fire marshal had.
It's awesome when you see a really technical fight, but I love seeing a fight like go for broke.
Dude, they both went broke, and they went broke until it was like whichever guy like gasses out first, and it was Ryan Hall, and Matt, and the fight ended. Matt was still throwing punches as Ryan's following, dude. And Ryan was face planted, and that was a war, and it went to the second round. That's a fight you got to watch. If you haven't seen it, that's a fight you have to see. That's definitely up there. I mean, it's fight of the year for MMA 2020. We're going to move on up to 2021 and kickboxing. 2021 kickboxing match of the year. I almost let this slip out earlier. Jacob Ray, Kyle James, kickboxing match of the year. And earlier when I was talking about Jacob being the newcomer of the year, I kind of I was like, yeah, this really could have been. And then I caught myself. But this was a fight. I don't think this was one maybe a month ago. You didn't even know this fight happened because this was before you were calling for us. And I was talking about it, and you were like, "What? Jacob did kickboxing?" And we went back and watched it together. And so they came out like Kyle's kicks were giving Jacob some trouble. Jacob was throwing kicks. He didn't know how to kick. Kind of like when Marvin Workman did a kickboxing match. Marvin didn't know how to kick either.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking of the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Marvin and Jacob are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're both guys that don't care. They're wild. They'll do it just for the fun of it, just to try.
Yeah.
And they've both done it and picked up. Jacob here in a great fight though, and a memorable fight. You see, 2 years later now, we're talking about it. So absolutely a job by Jacob, but Kyle James is really sharp as well. I can't wait to see him back in there.
Yeah, Kyle went on to win our 145 title. So and Kyle's debut, he had a draw with Jacob Ray. So Jacob dropped Kyle. Jacob dropped Kyle with a right hook in the first round. But then from that point, like the difference was the kicks. Like Jacob didn't have an answer for that. Jacob started throwing his own kicks, but Kyle's got some really nasty kicks. So after that, Jacob really relied on his boxing, but the kicks were the difference. So Kyle took rounds 2 and 3. They were still close. They were competitive. Jacob was still throwing bombs from the start to the finish. Kyle's ended up, his pace went up too. I mean, Jacob set a really high pace, and Kyle had to keep up. And then at the end of the fight, both guys collapsed together in the cage. They left it all. They left it all out there in the third round.
We've seen that happen a few times. We've seen happen where guys have just left everything in there, and by the end of the fight, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're hugging each other, like holding each other up, like look at Glenn and Nick Fisher. It was like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like those guys, when I was interviewing them, literally could barely stand.
Yeah. And now we're going to move up to the 2020 or 2021 boxing match of the year. And then we got a guy who's a repeat offender here. Zachary Craddock was also the 2019 boxing match of the year. Zachary Craddock.
Well, it's not surprising because I think he might be the most active guy in New Line history.
He was until Alex Davis came along.
Crazy in the last couple of years. But Craddock was the man before that. Craddock was the perennial. Was the Cowboy Cerrone of New Line Cage Fighting.
Yeah, if I didn't put Zach on the card, he was going to be fighting me in the parking lot. That's how it was. If I didn't get Zach a fight, he was going to fight me. But Zach and Dave Messer. So Zach, this was a fight, man. I don't remember who Zach was scheduled to fight originally. And somebody pulled out. I don't remember who it was. Somebody pulled out. And then Dave, Dave stepped up, hey, I'll do it. And he was Dave cut weight. Dave cut a lot of weight. Zach gained weight for that fight. There was a big size difference. And
that was an absolute scrap, though. And I still, watching that fight back, it's so hard to pick a winner. I thought it might have been a robbery. Dave might have done enough to win that fight. Still Zach, do it times, but Zach probably had his moments.
Yeah. Zach probably landed 60 or 70% of the punches he threw. Dave didn't block punches. Dave didn't try to he didn't move his head. He didn't try to evade anything.
Every fight, Dave Messer forgets one major tool of fighting. The second fight, he forgot to throw punches.
Oh, yeah. He only threw kicks. But man, Dave and Zach
would be really badass though. If Messer came to us like 10 years. Yeah, I did that to challenge myself to fight. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to punch this time. Yeah. I'm not going to block this time.
It's his handicap. Like he's setting a handicap. It's like when you go bowling and you give the other guy starts with 60 pins and you start with nothing. Like that's Dave. Dave gives everybody.
Tell you the truth, we got a lot of guys like that block and just use their face. I'm one of them.
Yeah. It's a prime example. Like, I'm like, he landed
my defense numbers.
Yeah, it's probably bad. You look at that fight with Jahan, it's like, Jahan landed 51 out of 89 punches. And you're like, no, he didn't. I blocked all those with my face. That was Dave, man. But Dave's like, I'll take him to give him. So he's like, me, I'm like, I'll use my footwork and my head movement to try to open them up and counter. Dave's like, I'm going to let them hit me with 3 in a row so I can counter with one of mine. So that fight, Dave landed the big shots, but Zach landed more shots. Zach landed almost everything he threw, but Dave landed some absolute bombs. And I think he almost knocked Zach down a few times. And with that size and power advantage, he landed the bigger shots. But I mean, Zach's a warrior, dude. And that came out to a split decision. One of the judges, I think one judge had it 28-27 or 29-28 for Dave. The other two had it 29-28. Zach. You hate to see anybody lose.
It's one of those fights that was so close, like you're okay with the split decision.
Yeah.
You don't see much. A lot of times when you see a split decision, you're not happy one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I get it. It's a hard fight.
You watch that fight yourself 5 times, you're going to score it different every time.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I think it was awesome. I draw would have won. That's a fight that I probably scored a draw.
Yeah. So this next fight, the 2021 MMA fight of the year, this was a war, dude. Eli Hawkins and Tyrone Kenshin. Dude, these guys had an absolute war. And a lot of people were upset with the result. Eli won. Was it a split decision or unanimous for Eli? I'm thinking it was split.
I think it might have been split. It was a close.
Yeah. Eli dominated. Eli dominated the first round.
And I think he won the third, but it was a little. I think Kenshin and his team felt they'd done enough to maybe get that decision, though.
Tyrone spent most of the fight on top of Eli.
Like you say, his wife definitely felt like he'd won.
Yeah. She let us have it after that fight. Like, she definitely let us have it. I mean, you can't argue against her. I mean, if you watch it,
she let poor Eli have it.
Yeah, and our judges and me. She let everybody have it.
I digress. Sure. It was one of my favorite I've ever called.
Yeah,
both are absolute warriors, friends of mine. And Eli Hawkins looked absolutely dangerous on the feet that fight. His boxing was on point. His clinch work was on point. My favorite thing he would double up jab, and then he would throw the third with the lead uppercut. My God, he was whipping Tyrone's head back with that.
Yeah.
But then in the second round, after getting absolutely beaten up, Tyrone takes him down and dominates that round on them. So we see into the third round 1-1.
Yeah.
And the third round was close. Eli won the striking exchanges, and then we saw Tyrone guillotine. And a lot of people thought that guillotine was close. But you see, he countered it and went for flu. Eli told me, he's like, if I would have had just a little more time, that would have put him out with that Von flu. And it was close. I could tell the pressure was tight on that choke.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a year for me. I would have been mad if it was anything else.
And Von flu choke, if the judges don't know what they're seeing, like they don't.
They don't know what's going on.
They don't know that the other guy's in trouble. Yeah. You see that a lot.
And the only way you can tell what's going on is I'll be over there at the commentary booth banging on the table and
He's gotta listen to Elijah. Listen to Elijah.
I get it's anytime I see anybody anywhere close to a show, I freak out.
All right, we're gonna move up.
It's one of the sneakies in the game.
Yeah. We're gonna move up to the 2022 fights of the year. So 2022 kickboxing fight of the year. And this was one of the most technical fights I've ever seen, really at any level. Denzel Chapman and Jacob Stanton. They fought January 29th, Huntington, on our kickboxing card. Dude, this was the first time I had seen Denzel really be tested. And I mean, can't be surprised because Stanton had been doing work on other events and kickboxing, and
that's the thing. I scouted the guy. Like, I knew Stanton had. Like, I knew the real deal. One who originally said this was a great fight.
Yeah, you matched that fight.
So you're welcome, people. I knew there was two guys that have incredible skill level, and they're both technical and sharp, and they both got that dog. That's what we saw, and we saw Denzel because of a few things. It was that front kick. That was a big thing in that fight. He was
Mm-hmm.
landing that front kick over and over. And Jake, I think, had seen it before like that and didn't have an answer for it. But as well, I think Denzel's just a little bit sharper. He can move just a little bit better. And it's because he's put a little more time in than Stanton. He's a little older in the game. Saw that there.
I think one thing
Beautiful.
that really helped was Denzel definitely scouted him out. Denzel knew that Stanton's strengths, like he had a really good spinning back fist, and that was Jacob's go to, and he was just like blasting people with it. And Denzel every time that Denzel would see Jacob's hips start to twist, he was like ready. And I don't think Stanton came close to landing one of those, but that's like.
No, he never did.
Yeah.
I told you about it before the fight. Dude, this guy landed 2 spinning back fists in that fight in Parkersburg, and he did it so perfect. Parkersburg, like I'm telling you, it wasn't like he was not setting it up. The timing, he was timing it perfectly, and it was sneaky. The fact that Denzel knew it was coming though was a big thing.
Yeah. If he had went into that fight blind, I mean, he may have gotten caught with those because Jacob's really smooth with them.
That's probably that's what happens with techniques like that. If you don't expect it, you walk right into stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to the 22 boxing match of the year, and this was a really tough one for us to choose as well. I'm going to talk about the runner-up. Fox and Kelly. They fought at Baileysville in April, championship fight of that tournament, the welterweight tournament, I believe. Dude, they had an absolute war, very technical fight, where Kelly took the unanimous decision. And actually, I think I'm going to go down to number 3 fight of that year for boxing was Dalen Jimerson and Matt Christ, who had an absolute war in Huntington in January. But the number 1 fight, which is ironic, he was also in the number 3 fight, Dalen Jimerson versus Nicholas Fisher. 22 boxing matches.
Big testament to Dalen to show what fighter he is here. That he was in the running, not just with 1 fight, but with 2 fights this year that were fights like that. The kid has a ton, and he's got no quit in it, and he's dog tough. Hit Dalen with a sledgehammer, and I believe he'd still keep coming forward.
Yeah. You hit Nick with a sledgehammer, he's going to keep coming.
Now, I know he'll get tired, but as far as his chin goes, that dude's got a chin.
Yeah. And this wasn't the most technical fight you'll ever see. Like this was not by any means a technical fight. This was a war.
The most fun, though, it was bananas, and I get excited thinking about it just because, like, dude, Nick Fisher. Let's talk about that man for a second. That guy's an animal.
Yeah.
When he was getting absolutely hammered by Dalen and then smiling like, that dude's crazy, and I love it.
Yeah.
In the best way. Like, and he's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to get hit whatsoever because he's been in there so often. He's fought the best guys we've got. Mm-hmm. I know he's not coming, but I'm telling you right now, Nick Fisher is a veteran fighter, and he has a lot of skill.
Yeah, he does. We first saw Fisher at NLC 1. He fought Brandon Boggs, and they had a really good fight. And Brandon did a lot of damage in the second round, and then Nick just had nothing left in the tank, and I would say he quit on the stool, but I don't know if he even made it to the stool. Like, he was crawling to the corner. I'm pretty sure the doctor had to come in. Like, he was just trying to get over to the corner. I believe his corner stopped it, maybe, or the doctor stopped it. But and then he fought Stafford. Yeah.
Fisher might genuinely enjoy being in there more than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's why I love watching him fight, because you can tell, like, he likes it.
Yeah,
it's for me, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it sometimes being in there.
Yeah.
He fucking likes it. Like, that dude is an animal, and I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a Nick Fisher fan, folks. That.
another fight to go watch of Nick is him and Mikey. And like Nick was like all offense, dude. And Mikey like really hurt Nick, but Nick wasn't quit. The referee stopped the fight, but Nick didn't like it. Nick was still trying to fight, but dude, like Mikey, that just talking about Mikey's like very, very good. And
oh yeah. Well, you got to look at this guy's resume. He has fought Chase Bird. He has fought Mikey Mitchell. He has fought, Dalen. Dalen's at the top too.
Yeah,
Dalen's a guy. I think he's a dark horse for a lot of people. Sleep on him.
Yeah,
but he's one of the best in the division.
Dude, he's 6'5", and he's got like some of the nastiest body shots there are.
Nastiest.
Yeah.
Nastiest you're going to see at that local level. And like I say, I think we're going to see really big things from him.
Yeah.
As long as he can get his head right.
Yeah.
As long as he can get his confidence. So I guess we'll see. And I think Fisher is the same way. Fisher just needs to get his cardio. If Fisher could get his cardio together, oh my God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with that guy, would you?
The only time I saw Nick fight in shape, he was fighting for a cruiserweight title in Virginia. He was fighting a 6-0 or 8-0 guy, and Nick was dominating the fight and ended up throwing his shoulder out. But Nick was dominating an undefeated guy. And
you talk about how big Dalen is. Fisher is a giant.
Yeah, Fisher's like what, 6'5"?
I never met Fisher. I've seen him fight. I saw his fight with Stafford. I saw a few of his fights. We watched them.
Yeah.
But because, you almost fought Fisher at one point.
Yeah.
So I was watching him. And when we watched it, at that point, I was thinking, man, this is pretty tough.
Oh, he is. Nick was not
I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Didn't know who he was at weigh-ins because I was like, who is this guy? He had this presence about him. He calm, you could tell. I was like, this guy's been here. He's done this before. Like you could tell this guy's like he had that veteran presence, and my God, was he like? I know he's weight, but like he carries well.
Yeah.
He looks like a heavy guy. He looks like a giant dude that's like an athlete that's like scary.
Yeah, he was a football player, and he's like 6'5", like 330 pounds or something. Man, he's a big dude.
I'll definitely say that I think he was the most intimidating presence at weigh-ins there in Oceana.
Yeah, for sure.
And there was a lot of badass dudes at that weigh-in.
Yeah. So, all right, now, we got one more of these. The 22 MMA fight of the year, and this was a really good fight. Lightweight title fight at NLC 8. Denzel Chapman and Jason Wilson, and this was a fight that was probably really tough to score for a judge because the stand-up was completely one-sided in favor of Denzel, but the ground was completely one-sided. Well, other than the crucifix, but when Jason got out of that, like Jason controlled Denzel, man. I mean, like they both kind of exposed each other. Like Jason exposed that Denzel needs to improve his wrestling game, and then Denzel really exposed that Jason needs to improve his stand-up. And but that's not that either guy's weak, but that Denzel's a great striker, and Jason's a great wrestler.
I think we got to morph both those guys together, and you have like the perfect fighter.
You morph those guys together, you have Justin Gaethje.
No, legitimately, if you morph Denzel and Jason together, you have George St. Pierre.
Yeah. How can we morph those guys together? How are we going to do that? We're going to send them.
We got to get both their DNA, and we got to have a baby. We got to do like in vitro.
So we got to send them into separate rooms, give them some magazines, and then give them a cup, and then we're going to make this thing happen. But we're gonna have GSP, the second coming, literally.
We're gonna get in big trouble, man, trying to genetically engineer the perfect fighter. There was a war over this kind of stuff.
Oh man.
Anyway, let's break the fight. Denzel comes out absolutely looks amazing on the feet like he always does. He's such a game and savvy striker.
Yeah.
But then you see Wilson. He takes him down, and that guy from the top is incredible. He's a grinding wrestler, and he's in your guard. He makes it super hard to do anything. We've seen him do this to a couple of people now when he just goes in there and he goes to work. Like, you think of like Chael Sonnen back in the day. That's who he reminds me of a lot because he'll get in your guard, and instead of like trying to or like look to submit you, he's just going to work. He's sitting there using those little short chopping shots, and he's really good at driving you into the mat. That's what happened to Denzel. Jason will he'll point his toes and like he'll tripod up and like push you into the mat so you're not getting back up.
Yeah.
And then he'll just keep you there the whole round. It's so frustrating. I can't imagine what's going through Denzel's head during those rounds because you're losing the round, but you can't get up.
I was thinking back to NLC 5. It was Jason's debut. And he fought Garrett Brannick from North Carolina. And Garrett is a college football strength and conditioning coach. The dude's like he's a beast, man. And their fight went the same way. Jason just like mauled him the whole time, and the guy hasn't fought since. But it kind of sucks because I could tell Garrett was really, really good himself. And then.
Well, like
I don't think he really knows like what he lost to, that like what Jason was going to turn out to be like. But like Jason beat a really tough guy, and like Garrett, I'm pretty sure he was like upper 20s, best shape of his life, strong, like a Skylar Moeller type of strong, like really strong dude. Had really good striking, had some nasty kicks, but every time his foot came up for a kick, Jason took him down.
Wrestling is the great equalizer in this game, and he's got it.
Yeah,
he's got it in spades. And like the thing about Jason is he's smart. He's not a dumb fighter. He's a student of the game. He's constantly watching MMA. He knows exactly what he needs to do to get the fight where it needs to be and what he needs to do to win.
Yeah,
and he does it. Like he's not going to let the crowd get to him. He's not going to let people. Like it's an interesting style that he has, and it's a style that some people aren't a fan of. I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
I love that so dominant that like you can't move. Like he's not finishing you, but like you literally can't do anything. And you can't stop
Khabib, man. He's like
it's
Khabib
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's just these dominant wrestlers that are wet blankets. And no matter what you do, they're going to smother you. They're going to smother you until that bell rings. And then they're going to beat you in the decision. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. And you're never going to stop it.
No.
I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving up to we're gonna go through Rookie of the Year, and we're doing this for every sport. So our amateurs, our pros, we got Rookie of the Year for everything. So we're going to look at our pro kickboxing Rookie of the Year. We didn't have any pro kickboxing in 19 or 20, but in 21 we had Justin Richwine come along, fight Matt Garrison. Dude, Richwine like really surprised us. We knew he had some boxing and he's done some MMA, but dude, when like his kicks are nasty, like Justin slows people down. Like he just killed whatever game plan they have, he kills it with his legs.
We bet against Teddy Bear last year. That was an incredible play of what kicking can bring to the table. He was fighting a guy who's a traditional boxer who just didn't know how to deal with those low kicks, and he chopped him down.
Yeah,
and couldn't ask for a better guy. My God, you talk about a Rookie of the Year. Justin Richwine is a great friend, a great guy, and I love having a guy like him on the roster.
Yeah, and so moving up to the 22 kickboxing Rookie of the Year, we have Eric Slocum. Also fought Matt Garrison, and they had a really good fight. Yeah, the Awesome Possum. So Eric Slocum is our 22 kickboxing Rookie of the Year, and kind of like to see him and Richwine go at it. Like
I would love that. That would be a great fight. Slocum Slocum and Garrettson was a great fight. It was
Yeah.
two fighters at a similar point in their career, and they were just a perfect matchup, and it was just a
Mhm.
beauty to watch. It really was
Yeah.
technical, gritty fight, and I think it was like a true fans fight.
Yeah. That was a fight I wanted to see, man. They had boxed before, like several years ago. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, and then they rematched in kickboxing. Now they're 1-1 against each other. So I would like to see a third one. I don't know if they want to do MMA, boxing, kickboxing. I don't care. I like to see those guys go back at it. And Matt has lost a lot of weight. Matt's down into the 260. Matt's like 20 pounds smaller than me right now. So
He definitely seems like he's rededicating himself lately.
yeah.
Wants to kind of turn over a new leaf. Wants to make another run at it. I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to see him back in there this year.
Yeah. So we're going to move up to the pro boxing rookie of the year. We didn't have any pro boxing in 19 or 20, but 2021, Mikey Fernier. Mikey came out, his debut fight, the walkout lasted longer than the fight. He fought Steve Walden. I don't know how many punches he landed, but it didn't last long. Wasn't much of a fight.
Coming in there against such a tough opponent like Steve, like
Yeah.
Mikey put on a show in his very first pro fight, and he's such a character as well. He's one of those that could easily win Personality of the Year. I
Yeah.
love talking to that guy, like being around him. Like Mikey Fernier is the real deal.
I can't believe here I was, and you were, I believe you might, I don't know if you were with me or not. Yeah, you were. Here I am in Oceana unloading tables and chairs from my truck. I'm over here wearing my Rhino shirt. And no, I'm like, I just want to be in Alex's hometown wearing his shirt, like kind of look
He's wearing
cool.
his Alex Davis
And
t-shirt.
here
And
comes
here's
Alex's
Mikey
opponent.
Bernier looking at him, and he's like, it's pretty bad when the promoter's wearing your opponent's shirt.
It was.
It's
I was like, man, I got to get one of your shirts now.
not a good sign.
No. He's like, I'm not getting any decisions here. I can see it now. Oh boy.
That was
I love that. I love that guy though, man.
Shout out to Mikey Fernier, wherever you are, probably somewhere up in Ohio,
Yeah.
chasing after some women.
Oh, he is. He is. No, they're probably chasing him. Unless they poop.
Hair?
Unless they poop. He says he doesn't like he doesn't like girls that poop because he said girls don't poop. All right. So 22 pro boxing rookie of the year. This was a close one. But we gave the nod to TJ Hensley. TJ Thorin had had a 22-1 run as an amateur, took several years off, came back, and now he's 2-0 as a pro.
He comes back because of his brother. His brother said, I want to be a boxer, but I want you to do it with me. And so here they come bursting onto the scene. That's another gem that, was right up there for gem of the year with Heathen Clan Combat. And Thorin is just, he won Personality of the Year this year, of course.
Yeah.
Because he's just a character. And not only that, he's an incredible boxer. One of the best I've ever had the privilege to train with. And
an incredible person.
And an incredible lover, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But we'll keep this PG.
He was the 2017 Turkish Oil Wrestling state champion of Ohio.
Back to back. He's been back to back.
17 and 18, back to back, and then he retired.
Has been looking to challenge him though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start my own podcast soon about the Turkish Oil Wrestling standings and stuff. Keep you guys updated.
It's a scene that it's like such a niche group, like those who follow it really follow it.
Yeah, we're super fans.
Yeah. So moving on up,
fantasy Turkish oil wrestling leagues that we do every season.
Yeah, I lost a lot of money in 2020 on Turkish oil wrestling on DraftKings. So moving on up to the, I don't know, do we lose Elijah? All right. So we are moving on to the next category. You can see we have both changed clothes because we had a little mishap on our recording, and mishap and Elijah's battery died.
I'm wearing the exact same clothes because I'm a professional. I set this up so that it would be seamless, and now you've destroyed the illusion.
I've ruined it. Almost buzzed off all this hair.
My whole day was literally planned around like you got to wear the same clothes so they'll never know. And here you are, as soon as we start,
same socks, everything. You never know. You got to be authentic. So yeah, all right. We are at the Pro MMA Rookie of the Year 2019. This goes to Austin Speedy Markham. Austin was, or have we already gone over this? No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We talked about his MMA fight.
Comeback of the year.
Okay, so he's a double champ.
Double champ.
Not only is he our Rookie of the Year for 2019, he won Fight of the Year in that lone MMA fight.
Yep. He won fight, yeah. Or comeback of the year and the Pro MMA Rookie of the Year. He, at that time, probably had 15 or 20 boxing matches already and then transitioned into MMA. That was his only fight so far. He has talked to me about doing it again. That still may happen.
I want to see Austin Markham versus Ken Beverly in kickboxing. That's the fight.
That would be an interesting fight for sure. All right, we're gonna move on up to where are we? Yeah, we had no MMA rookies and or pro MMA rookies in 2021 or 22. So we're moving on up to the amateur rookies of the year, starting with kickboxing 2019. He was still in high school at the time. Devin Stanley at NLC 1. He had a lot of people in the crowd for him. He had the first fight of the night. I didn't see it live. I was taking tickets at the door. Devin Stanley had his kickboxing debut that year, and he's gone on, man. He's like 3-0 or 4-0 kickboxing now, 3-0 MMA. He's had a pretty good run, man. He's been battling a shoulder injury for like the last 2 years, so he's not been really active. But I was talking to his coach the other day, and he's putting in the work now, so we may see him soon.
Devin Stanley's only looking better and better. He's one of those guys who's one of the hottest prospects in the state, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Then moving up to the 2020 kickboxing Rookie of the Year, Tim Blackburn. Man, this guy was very, very technical. This guy was smooth.
Tim's a good guy, man. I've trained with him. He's always super sharp. Everything he throws is clean. And the thing with him, though, is he doesn't have that dog when he's in there. I think if we would have seen a little more of that, Tim could have done amazing things. I'd like to see him back in.
Oh yeah, we got. I would. Tim, if you're watching, I don't know why you would be watching, but if you're watching, man, we got to get you back in there, dude.
You don't think so much Tim Blackburn watches everything we do?
Do you think he watches anything we do?
Do you think anybody's watching this, or is it just us? I think
it's just us. It's just us and Joe Perry. So that's probably it. Joe's our one true follower.
We really do the entire show for Joe Perry.
We do. If it wasn't for Joe, if it wasn't for you reaching out once every month or two, like, hey, when's the next show? We wouldn't do another show. You put it back in our minds. This is all for you.
We sit sometimes and we think, man, should we quit? And then we say, no, we can't do that to Joe.
No, we can't do that to Joe. So we're going to move on up to the next year, 2021. We had, and I don't know who let him bust out of the old folks' home, but the Rookie of the Year for kickboxing was Bobby Johnson. Bobby Johnson. Also, the Crypt Keeper.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
He won Rookie of the Year right before he hit, the 40-year mark and was ineligible to compete until he got all that extra medical testing.
Do you know what it was like when Bobby Johnson started fighting? I don't know if you've seen Charlie in the Chocolate Factory when Uncle Joe gets out of bed, like starts walking around. That's what happened.
That's Bobby's debut. Yeah. Laying around not doing anything. Boom, let's go. Jackie, I'm fighting.
He'd been in that bed since the Iraq War.
Ever since he had sat in that chair, the throne. So we're gonna move on up to the 22 kickboxing rookie of the year. And this goes to Brittany Vaughn. Brittany made her kickboxing debut in November and had an absolute war with Marvin Workman. And that was a fight that had been building up for a while. It almost happened at Rough and Rowdy. And it ended up happening there in November. And they did kickboxing, and it was a solid fight, man. Solid fight.
We've seen Brittany in boxing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen her do a little bit of MMA, but I think we saw her really shine in kickboxing. That was the first time I was like, man, Brittany looks sharp.
Yeah.
Her kicks were absolutely devastating. Marvin was in bad shape at the end of that fight.
Those spin kicks to the body. Yeah.
It was funny. That fight was so back and forth too. Like that was a fight of the year contender. That was one of those that could have easily been fight of the year. And, Marvin hurt her as well. She got hurt to the body with a kick, and she dug deep and managed to pull through and got that awesome win. It's cool to see her winning Rookie of the Year, and what we've never seen her win before, where it looks like she belongs.
Yep.
Hi, my name's Brittany Vaughn, and I am the newly crowned New Line Cagefighting Kickboxing Amateur Rookie of the Year. What's next? Well, I'll be seeing all of you in Welch, West Virginia on March 11th. I'll be fighting another transgender woman this time. Her name is Gita the Man-Eater. And I am going to show her what a man-eater does. She ain't ready for what I'm about to bring to the ring. I'm too strong. I'm too fast. And I'm crafty with my kicks. So, I'll see you all there at 8 o'clock on the dot. Don't be late.
Moving up to Amateur Boxing Rookie of the Year 2019, we had in October that year, we had Lucas Spalding burst onto the scene. He came out, looked really impressive. He took on Bobby New, and just looked really, really good, man. Like Lucas, we could tell he was going to have a really good career just immediately. And
Lucas just looks like a boxer. Every time you see him fight, like he's so technical.
Yeah.
And it's rare to see a guy who's been so new to the sport that looks like he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would love to get Lucas back up here. So 2020, we did not have a boxing Rookie of the Year. We only had one rookie fight that year, and he fought Lucas. The fight didn't go very well. 2021 boxing Rookie of the Year. This was a close one, but we went with Wesley Gabb. Wesley came
Appalachian
out.
Voodoo King, I believe, is his new moniker.
Also known as Hollywood West Gabb.
Hollywood West Gabb. He's got one more, but I can't remember. That guy, that's a man that wears many hats.
Yep. And eats a lot of cheesecake.
I bet he does now.
Oh, yeah. So he'll be heavyweight in no time. But yeah, West Gabb, 2021 Rookie of the Year. Moving up to 22
West.
Rookie of the Year. And in 22, we had a lot of really good rookie boxers. This was a really tough choice. When we had the guys voting on it, came down to I think 3 guys, and we narrowed it down to 2 guys, and we were kind of deadlocked with 2 guys, and then like, hey, we got to break this. We got to have one Rookie of the Year, and it's Philip Fox. Philip Fox, the son of Billy Fox, probably the best professional boxer ever come out of West Virginia.
The Oceana Kid.
Mm-hmm.
The fastest gun in West Virginia.
Was that Billy's name, the Oceana Kid?
No, that's Philip's name that I gave him.
Okay. I like it.
He's going to be so sharp one day,
Yeah.
and we're already seeing shades of greatness from him.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see him in about 5 years.
Yeah. I'd say we'll be seeing him in 5 years. We'll be we'll be getting together at like B-dubs and watching him on pay-per-view.
I guarantee
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm saying. I think he could be
Yeah.
at the top. He really could.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit for a kid like that.
He's got good people around him. He's got his dad. He's got Tucker.
That's why he
Yeah.
had to win this award, like Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy.
He's Rookie of the Year. He's with the Team of the Year. He was a part of that. The reason they got it. He's got the Coaches of the Year in his corner, Tucker, Chris, and he's working with his dad. He's got the right people around him, and I think he goes and works with Steve Neal some. He works with Mike Shepard some. He travels around a lot, getting different looks.
And he's living in this really unique place. Oceana is a boxing town. Like,
Yeah.
I've not ever seen a place like that before.
They love it over there, man.
So he's gonna have so much hometown support throughout his boxing career, and that goes a long way as well.
Yeah, yeah. If he's fighting on a big pay-per-view somewhere and it's far from home, a lot of people may not be able to go, but I guarantee they're all going to be tuning in and watching him on pay-per-view. So he's definitely going places, and he's a great person too. Love the kid, love his family. He's got a really good family, good coaches, good team. So he's got everything he needs, man. Just got to keep working. Just stay with it, and sky's the limit.
First off, I just want to thank everybody that voted for me Fighter Rookie of the Year. I couldn't thank all you guys enough for voting for me. Thanks for the support that y'all continue to show us at the Silverback Crew. Thanks for coming out to all the events and supporting all of us and all the other fighters. With y'all, none of this would be possible. Thank y'all for all of the support that y'all continue to show us. And y'all will see a lot more of me coming this year.
So we're going to move on up to the MMA Rookie of the Year. We've got 2019. There were a few good candidates in all these too. But 2019, the guy you worked with a little bit, Ryan Stale from Phelps, Kentucky. Ryan came out. We saw his debut. He fought Evan Atkins, and I think Evan was 1-0 going into that. Ryan came out, and it was a war. Evan came out, with the stand-up, really putting it on Ryan early on in the fight. Then Ryan's wrestling took over, and Evan didn't really have an answer for the wrestling, and Ryan just controlled him.
You say wrestling. I'll tell you a little story. Ryan didn't have any wrestling, but he came down to train with me a little bit before that fight. And to work on his grappling a little bit. He'd never done it before, but the kid had this natural talent with like grappling. He was really scrappy. And right before the fight, I remember it clear as day. I told him right before he walked out, I said, "Don't be afraid to grapple this guy." Because I knew he's got this, like, he's really scrambly and he's got a lot of skill. And that's what ended up happening. He got hurt really bad on the feet in the beginning of that fight.
Yeah.
And something kicked in. He went for that takedown, got Evan on his back, changed the game.
Yep.
After that fight, he told me, he's like, "I wouldn't have won that without you." And I was as proud of that as my win that night.
Ryan went on the next event, fought a jiu-jitsu brown belt, Jonathan Rao. And that was for the vacant NLC lightweight title. And a lot of people counted Ryan out in that fight. He had maybe like one season of wrestling in high school, worked with you a few times in jiu-jitsu, boxing, did a lot on his own. I don't know if he was working with anybody on his boxing or not. But he came out with the right strategy. You're fighting a jiu-jitsu brown belt who doesn't really have a wrestling background. And Jonathan didn't really have much of a striking game then either, which he learned that night he needs to work on it, and he has. But Ryan stayed away and was looking for an uppercut because he knew Jonathan was trying to clinch with him. and man landed the perfect shot, put Jonathan to sleep
And
immediately.
you gotta probably credit Tyler Smith there. Tyler's a smart coach.
Mhm.
And I'd say he was watching some film on Rao and knew Rao was a grappler. So
Yeah.
that's what you go for. That uppercut in boxing works well. I say boxing when we're talking about takedowns, but that
Yeah.
uppercut or that knee, every time.
Yeah.
We saw the same thing with Masvidal when he slept Ben Askren with that knee.
Yeah.
Askren was coming out and he knew he was going for that takedown.
Yeah. Askren had no plans on standing there with him. So moving on up to the 2020 MMA Rookie of the Year. We've already talked about this guy a little bit, Matt Workman. Matt made his debut, fought Ryan Hall that night, and then Matt went on at the next event, which was 15 months later, because COVID messed everything up. And Matt was the man who welcomed the Rhino, Alex Davis, into NLC. But yeah, Matt Workman, 2020 Rookie of the Year, came out and put on a show that night. 2021. This is a guy I would love to see him come back. I've sent him a few fight offers. He's thinking about it. Jacob Lemaster. Jacob made his debut at NLC. Well, he made his kickboxing debut at NLC 4. Then, when we came back from COVID, NLC 5 made his MMA debut. In his debut, he fought a Division I wrestler and, for the most part, out-wrestled the guy. And he won a close but split decision. And then NLC 6, he came back and fought another guy who had a wrestling background, but it was no fight at all. And Jacob just completely dominated Dave Harris.
I trained with Jacob for a long time back when he was literally first getting started. And he was this wide-eyed kid. And it's amazing to see how far he's come now. But you look back to NLC 5 even. I was there not as a commentator. That was before I started with you, but I was there with him and backstage and stuff. He was still that wide-eyed kid.
Mm-hmm.
He was so nervous before his debut, and it's just amazing to see now in just a couple of years time that he's fought. I don't know, 10 times now. He's doing jiu-jitsu tournaments all over the place. He's traveling all over the country training. The kid's going to be a big deal.
He is. I think he's working right now trying to qualify for the Pan Am Games.
I think he'll win worlds. That's my theory. I think that's what he's going for. And the gym he's at now, he's with Adam Gomez and the Killer Bees up there in Georgetown. Those guys have turned people into world champions before. They did the same thing with Jacob Couch. Jacob Couch moved down there, started living with Adam, and they turned that kid into a world champion. He won the worlds at Blue Belt. Not long later, you see a few years later, he's up against Gordon Ryan, which is bananas.
Yeah, that dude's crazy. Speaking of bananas, Gordon Ryan kind of looks like a gorilla. See, so moving up to the 22 MMA Rookie of the Year, and this came down to really close between two guys, and we were back and forth on who we're going to give this to, and you got to have one guy, you got to have one Rookie of the Year. This was the hardest one we had to choose, I believe, the whole time. This was it. MMA Rookie of the Year, Chase Thomas, the Fireball kid from Ryoma Academy. He comes from Lonaconing, Maryland, trains. Where's their gym? Frostburg, something, maybe. But comes from a solid gym. You've called both of his fights. You've called his boxing match, too. He boxed Brendan Kelly this year. First time we saw him
First time he ever fought, period.
First time he ever fought,
guy. He's a grappler, and he goes in there and boxes Kelly and makes it a fight.
He made it a fight.
And then we'll see him where he belongs in the cage. And so far, he's been unstoppable. Not only can this kid grapple, he's got big power in his hands. We saw that against Vanderlyn in that last fight. I love watching him fight. I love Ryoma Academy. My God, those guys are talented, and they're the real deal. And, I think I'm going to adopt him and Logan Shuck, and they're going to be my redheaded stepchildren. That's how much I love those two guys.
I like it. I like it. We got to give a
What's up, NLC fans? I just want to say I'm honored to receive NLC 2022 Rookie of the Year. I'm honored to bring that award back to Lona Koning and Ryoma Academy. I want to thank all the guys here because I wouldn't be able to do it without them. 2020 year was a good year of success for me in the cage, and in 2023 it only gets better. I'll see you guys in May, hopefully for a strap.
I like it. We got to give a shout out to Czar Parrish. I mean, Czar was the guy that, Czar. This was deadlocked. Czar and Chase. We didn't know who to go with. I mean,
I
we
wish
voted on this like
if
3
we
or 4
could have done a
times.
joint award, we would have, but you got to give it to one guy. Czar had a great year too.
Yeah.
Czar is the king of that gift wrap position. My God, that TKO was a thing of beauty. One of my favorite fights this year, actually, as far as just pure dominance.
Yeah, and Czar's willing to fight anybody, man. Boxing, kickboxing, MMA, he doesn't care. And I believe Chase is the same way. Chase will take whoever. And Chase is ready for a title. Czar's ready for a title. These are 2 guys that are definitely going places. I hated that.
One of my favorite moments of the year was when Czar fought in that boxing match in Oceana. That crowd hated him.
Yeah.
And I kind of loved it because I was getting fired up with Eli Hawkins and Colin, because he kept pushing his opponent out of the ring. It was kind of a controversial fight. Something about it I just loved.
That was a fight. They had good sportsmanship after though. So yeah, I was a little worried as soon as when the fight was ending. Toward the end of the last round, I was actually over there going to get some police to make sure we had a walkway cleared for Czar to get to the locker room. So
if you watch the footage, if you watch me go into the ring before the post-fight interview and stuff, you'll see me walk up to Czar. He's off by himself, kind of. And I walk up to him and I said, "Are you ready to be the most hated man in West Virginia?"
That would have been bad. I believe if they had raised his hand, that some people would have stormed the ring.
And I scored that fight for him. I thought he might have won. So I kind of expected there might be a riot.
Yeah. I could definitely see that.
Oh my God. It would have been bad.
So we're gonna move on up.
You didn't get the win, but you walked away with your life. And that's more important. You live to fight another day.
Moving up to the kickboxing rookie of the year, 2019. This guy also was newcomer of the year that year. Denzel Chapman. Denzel Chapman, man, came out and fought Sam Kinker at NLC 3 in October of 2019. And Sam's a solid guy too. But yeah, Denzel put on a show. And Sam's like a little tank, man. You can't finish the guy. Like I don't know if he's ever been finished, but like Denzel put on a kickboxing clinic that night, and it looked amazing. And we gave him Rookie of the Year, or not Kickboxer of the Year.
Congratulations again to the ugliest man in boxing, my friend Denzel Chapman.
So moving up to 2020 Kickboxing Rookie of the Year. We gave this one to, or not Rookie of the Year, Kickboxer of the Year. Mark Faherty. Mark, I believe, was 44 or 45. Came out, we talked about him earlier, fought Luke Lego. And Mark was awesome, dude. I believe he finished up 4-0, and he was wanting to keep going, but the state medical requirements were just kind of crazy. Once you get over 40, it's just really expensive to keep on fighting. And so he went ahead and hung it up, and I believe he's just doing some coaching now. But great guy, great fighter. 2020 Kickboxer of the Year, Mark Faherty. Moving up to the 21. This guy had been trying to make his kickboxing debut for a while, and just couldn't make it happen. Chase Stafford. Chase, a scary man. Nobody wanted to fight the guy after that head kick. But Chase had a couple kickboxing matches and like not close at all. Like just absolutely just ran through everybody we put in front of him. Did whatever he wanted. He showed improvement in his hands, especially. So we knew the feet were dangerous, but he came out and finished. Yeah, Nick Fisher. He finished Nick Fisher with body shots. Left hook. I mean, just hooks to the body. Just ripped Fisher's body and finished the fight. I believe in the first round, early first round. Didn't take long.
He's been absolutely unstoppable until we saw that fight with Randolph. And,
Yeah.
he just fought a guy who was a little bit more experienced, but we saw him go the distance in that fight. And we saw still he had his moments. He had a few moments there where he looked really good. Stafford is a tough kid.
Yeah.
And I say that I call everybody kid, like because I like to feel like I'm Dana White. But no, Stafford is such a tough guy, and I think we're going to see even bigger things from him coming forward.
Yeah. So talking about Chase, the 21 kickboxer of the year, was unstoppable until he ran into Rick. 22 kickboxer of the year, Rick Randolph. Rick comes in. We give him the fight with Chase. He sees the hype around Chase. He sees us talking about Chase, and he was kind of offended by it. He did,
he was mad at me.
He was a little upset.
Mad at me.
We were selling the fight, but we truly believed that everything we said too.
Well,
we believe
that's
Chase
the thing.
is
I knew how dangerous Rick was, but I truly believe Chase is one of the biggest prospects in the state.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on a guy like that. But I never really knew just how good Rick was until that fight, because we hadn't seen him tested against a high caliber opponent yet, like Chase. And it just showed he's a consummate veteran.
Yeah.
He knows the sport, and he's a freak athlete as well. But like, the guy is he's got everything. He's smart, he's tough, he's strong. He's going to be tough for anybody to beat.
We were setting that fight up, and Rick, we're talking about this being a big fight, one of the biggest kickboxing matches in West Virginia. And Rick's just like, it's another day in the office. Just another fight to me. Nothing.
What's crazy? What's crazy is it was.
Yeah. Just another fight.
This is the guy that everyone's afraid of. Chase Stafford's the guy everybody's running from. He's the boogeyman in West Virginia. Here comes Rick Randolph, like he's nothing.
Yeah.
Of course he respected him. Rick's a very respectful fighter, but like, as far as like worrying about that fight, no, he's not worried about it.
Yeah. So we're going to move on up to the boxer of the year, 2019. This is going to Mr. Adam Dingus from Chapmanville. We had our first one-night tournament, which I guess that's the only one-night tournament we've had. We had a few more planned out that just kind of fizzled away, but 2019, Adam Dingus, man. He made his MMA debut that year. He had a fight at NLC 2. His opponent had high blood pressure, and the fight didn't happen. So we set up the tournament for NLC 3, and then Dingus ran through it, man, and showed us why he was the top dog in the area, and took home that belt. And that was a one night. That was a one-night tournament for the NLC vacant heavyweight championship, and Adam brought it home.
I really like Adam Dingus. He came down to my gym. I got to spar with the guy. He hits like a truck, and sparring with him, it feels a little bit like fighting him. You know that too, because you've trained with him.
Yeah.
And he's just so fun. Like, I really, there's certain people that are just really fun to train with and spar with. He's one of them. I had a blast sparring with him. Like, we went to war a little bit, and you love it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you shake hands. He's one of the best guys you can be around.
Yeah. So moving up to Boxer of the Year 2020, Dalen Jemerson. Dalen was a much improved boxer from 19 to 20. Dalen was also in that tournament, the same tournament Dingus was in. Dalen got eliminated in the semifinal, and then by Duke Edwards, and then then Duke went on to lose to Adam in the championship. But 2020, Dalen had really, he was the newcomer, or he was the most improved fighter, also the boxer of the year, and he's still at it, putting on good fights. He's put on probably 40 pounds of muscle since this fight, and but yeah, boxer of the year 2020, Dalen Jemerson. and he was coached by Jason Workman and War Tribe MMA, or the Tribe, or whatever they're called, Team Tribal. See, moving up to 21, Boxer of the Year, Tyler Eastep. Tyler Eastep came in. We hadn't seen him since 2019. He took that last loss he had kind of hard. He was having some health problems for a little bit, but he was going to come. He was wanting to come back in 2020. COVID hit, messed everything up, and then he came. 21. We saw him burst back onto the scene. Went undefeated that year. I think 3-0, or no, he went 2-1. He did have that one fight with Denzel.
Well, it's such an interesting year for him because, like, he bounces back, like you say, has a great win.
Mm-hmm.
Then he fights Denzel on short notice. Literally, the fight comes about the night of the event because both their opponents pulled out. Yeah. He has the guts to take that fight against such a tough opponent. He comes up short in it, but then he bounces back again, and he beats Jacob Ray in one of the best fights of his entire career.
Yep. And just looking at like the difficulty, man. So his first opponent that year was making his debut. He fought Julius Purdue. Julius was coming in. That was his debut. But ever since that night, like, he finished Julius in the first round. Julius is 4-1 since that night. And then he fought Denzel, who's the man. Denzel's 6-0 boxing now. Denzel had all three belts at 155 and 160 there for a while. And then the end of the year, he finished it off with Jacob Ray, who's a tough man champion. I think Jacob was like 13-2 going into that fight with Tyler. I think Tyler was 4-1, 5-1. I mean, how could you not give him that, Boxer of the Year 21? Then moving on up to the Boxer of the Year for 2022. This was another really difficult decision. We probably had 5 guys that were in the running for this. Chris Blankenship was there.
5 guys. The restaurant was in the running this year.
No, the police academy, the police station. So we had Armani, we had Chris, we had Matt Christ, James Blankenship. So many guys that had an awesome year in 22. I mean, even Philip Fox, man. But there was one guy who beat Philip this year. That was Brendan Kelly. And Brendan Kelly had a couple really close decisions. He had with Jacob Stanton. Then he had the fight with Zuri. A lot of people didn't agree with those. Brendan came out on top both times. And just, the fact that he's fighting guys like this and coming out. I don't think Brendan had any easy fights. He had Chase Thomas, who was a Rookie of the Year. He had Philip Fox, who was a Rookie of the Year. Jacob Stanton, who was in the kickboxing fight of the year. And really, that fight with Brendan could have been boxing fight of the year. It was close to it. And then fought Zuri. And, Zuri's was like 12 or 13 USA boxing matches, undefeated MMA. And Zuri's one of the most skilled fighters I've seen in West Virginia at the amateur level. He's like, absolutely. Zuri's legit.
We saw that in that Kelly fight. Yeah. Zuri has one of the best skill sets I've seen in a long time, and his defensive boxing is incredible. Yeah. Against a guy like Kelly, who's such an offensive fighter, Zuri was sliding away from those big shots, making him whiff on a lot of them. It was a beautiful fight. And I think that's a big reason why Kelly's got to win, because, he beat some really high-level guys. He beat Zuri. I think that was like the perfect way for Kelly to cap off this year.
Yeah.
As close as it was.
Even if Brendan hadn't won that fight, he still might have been Boxer of the Year.
Well, he wins
just from the year he had.
Year. It's incredible what he's done in a year's time, honestly.
Yeah.
And couldn't be a cooler guy.
Oh yeah, he's an awesome guy, man.
Incredible presence at the events. Very nice too, very down to earth. He's not what you expect him to be. You see that presence, you see that that whole persona he has, but he's so humble and kind.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't be a cooler guy.
He's a man that when he walks into a room, his mustache has already been there for 2 minutes. So, all right, we're going to move on up to MMA Fighter of the Year.
Last event, actually, I saw a bird fly out of his mustache.
I don't doubt that one bit. I don't doubt it. So, MMA Fighter of the Year 2019. There were a couple guys in the running for this. NLC 1, this man had an absolute war with Nick Fisher. NLC 2, heavyweight title fight, the inaugural NLC heavyweight title fight, the first ever title fight we had. Brandon Boggs defeated Mikey Mitchell by a second round knockout. And Brandon Boggs, man, he finished that year, 3-0 as an MMA fighter. Went on not long after that to become a professional boxer, but very deserving 2019 MMA Fighter of the Year. He was training at Madison Danville Martial Arts under Greg Dillon. Had a lot of good teammates. Chase Thompson,
Michael Watts.
Yeah, they had a solid group of fighters up there. I believe Cody Abbott was doing a lot of training with them. Eric Music was going up there. Chris Pontier was coming down there. They had a lot of good people, man. I think that's another gym that COVID kind of messed everything up for them. They were really growing there in 2020. But yeah, Brandon Boggs, MMA Fighter of the Year for 2019. Moving up to 2020 MMA Fighter of the Year, we have Devin Stanley. Devin Stanley that year fought Zachary Craddock at NLC 4, the only fight we had. Really showed the improvement. He moved up to 2-0 in his MMA career there. Just really, and that was the first time we saw his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling. His first opponent really couldn't get in on him at all. Devin ran. Zach gave him a fight,
and he won submission of the year that year as well with that Darce choke. Am I right?
Year. He won the following year.
We're talking about a guy who in 2019 wins Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see him win Fighter of the Year. Mm-hmm. Then we see him win Submission of the Year. So my big question is, what award is he going to win in 2023?
He's going to have to come out for Knockout of the Year.
Yeah, it's like the Triple Crown.
Yeah. So Devin Stanley, I mean, the dude's solid. And now we're going to move up to the 2021 MMA Fighter of the Year. You're a big supporter of this guy. I'm a big supporter of this guy. Eli Hawkins. Eli's trains up in Morgantown. He's a former WVU boxer. I believe you said he was a national champion boxer as an amateur as well. But the dude, I mean,
sometimes I just say stuff.
Yeah, we'll go with it. National champion boxer.
World champion.
Let's champion. WBC rank number 3. No, but 21 MMA Fighter of the Year. Eli Hawkins. Awesome guy, man. Love this guy.
Salt of the earth. Eli Hawkins, salt of the earth. Great mustache. Great personality.
Nicest guy in the world, unless he has a fight coming up in a few days. Then get out of his way.
Oh, yeah. He's a different dude. I think we talked about that in his other award.
Yeah.
Eli.
Before we go on.
And I think that was maybe the best year he had of his career so far.
Before we go on, talking about somebody being serious, leading up to a fight, that's Jason Wilson. Stay out of his way. Jason,
really, I didn't get a chance to talk to him before the fight.
I probably get on Jason's nerves because you know me, I'm always goofing off, messing around, and Jason's like the most serious person leading up to a fight. Like when we talk online and it's well off away from the fight, he's cool, man. When you get especially weigh-ins, he's showing up dehydrated. He's been working, cutting weight. Don't joke around with that guy. You hear me, Keith? You hear me? Don't joke around with Jason Wilson. Not till after the fight. All right. MMA fighter of the year for 22. We just gave 21 to Eli Hawkins. In 22, Eli Hawkins had a big fight. He went up to light heavyweight. He takes on Chase Stafford. Everybody's scared of Chase Stafford, but Eli's like, hey, I'll do it. I'll go up and wait. I'll put on 15, 20 pounds and I'll go up and fight Chase. And then Chase, showed us why everybody's scared of him once again.
Sometimes we saw in 20, Eli had such a good year that year before, but you live by the sword and you die by the sword in this sport, and that's what happened. He came out and he got sniped. That's the best way I can put it. Chase looked incredible in that fight. It didn't last long. Eli tried to get him in the clinch. I think the goal was to get Chase to the ground and try to work his jiu-jitsu a little bit, because he knew what a big guy Chase was. He knew how dangerous Chase is on the feet. But when they clinched up, you just saw how strong Chase is.
Yeah.
And he separated, landed that perfect right hand, and Eli went to sleep.
Yeah. That was a solid finish, man. All right. We have one more category left. I thought I was going to keep on scrolling up, but we are there. All right. Fighter of the year. Overall fighter of the year. So we've had boxer, MMA, kickboxer of the year. Fighter of the year.
This is the ultimate.
This is it.
This is like cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm. Not cream in your pants. This is cream of the crop, son. Speaking of cream in your pants, 2019 Fighter of the Year. This man fought on all 3 events. He did kickboxing at NLC 1, had a heavyweight title fight at NLC 2, and fought an absolute animal at NLC 3. Mikey Mitchell, our 2019 MMA or 2019 Fighter of the Year. So he came out, had a finish win in kickboxing. He fought Christian Atkins, NLC 1. Christian's, I think, 6'6". It was like 250 pounds, big solid guy. When they got in the ring, a lot of people were looking at him like, Mikey Mitchell's going to get killed. Mikey demolished his opponent and really showed a lot of skill. Then NLC 2, Mikey fought for the heavyweight title with Brandon Boggs. He was looking really good. And then Brandon landed a really nice right hook, finished the fight. Mikey, that didn't stop Mikey. Mikey came back at NLC 3, fought Nick Fisher, and finished the fight fairly quick. Nick came out, had a good 20 or 30 seconds. I don't know if he really landed anything on Mikey. Mikey's got some really good defense. I've sparred Mikey. He's hard to hit.
He really is.
Yeah,
because he's always so defensively sound too.
Yeah.
The counter's coming if you mess up. So you start doubting yourself when you're sparring Mikey. You almost don't want to throw because he's so defensively good.
Yeah. Then if you don't want to sit back and let him throw either, because he'll end the fight. And
it's a lose-lose situation, isn't it?
If you throw, he's going to counter. If you don't throw, he's going to blast you. So I don't know. Pick your poison, I guess. 2019 Fighter of the Year, Mikey Mitchell.
Thank you guys for choosing me as 2019 Fighter of the Year. Couldn't have done it without the team that I was with at the time, Quicksand MMA. My coach, James Mon, and my teammates, Destiny Spry, Terry Vance, Justin Eggins, and a huge shout-out to Adam Dingus for being probably, without a doubt, the hugest help I had at the time. Thank you, guys.
All right, 2020 Fighter of the Year. Couldn't have gone to anybody any better here. Denzel Chapman. Denzel Chapman is a winner of multiple other awards. 2020 Fighter of the Year. Also, the ugliest MMA fighter, the ugliest boxer, ugliest kickboxer, ugliest toenails. He wins it all, man. And he's also the logo, Mr. Logo.
We give Denzel a hard time, but he's had an incredible amateur career. Yeah. And I think we're seeing it come to a close now. He's getting ready to turn pro, and I think that he could be one of the first guys we see from West Virginia knocking on the door of the UFC one day. And I really hope so, because he couldn't be a better dude. I hate saying this on camera because the whole thing, the whole dynamic we have, it's going to ruin it. But I can't give him too many compliments. But I'm really excited to see Denzel turn pro.
Oh, me too. Me too. Um, moving
He
up to
just
the
needs to
20.
work on his jujitsu because he sucks. I hope he
So,
watches.
speaking of Denzel's jiu-jitsu, this is a guy that Denzel grappled with one day at your gym. The 2021 fighter of the year, Alex the Rhino Davis. Alex burst onto the scene in 21. Dude just knocking everybody out, man. Boxing, MMA. He almost did a kickboxing match. I think the opponent pulled out. We had to switch something last minute, but Alex was just willing to fight, man. Uh, he came out. He went 2-0 or 3-0. I don't know. And he also had that fight at the end of the year with Adam Dingus. Went to a draw. And we thought he won it. He had a couple knockdowns. And the announcer announced Alex as the winner. We gave him the belt, and then they were like, no, there's a correction. We have a draw here. It was, I think, one judge gave it to Alex, and then the other two had a draw. But I mean, that was with Adam Dingus, who was our
One of
2019
the
boxer of the
moments
year.
I've ever seen in the game is when they gave him that belt. He had his family in the cage with
Took
him,
pictures with
taking
it.
pictures, and then they take it from him.
Yeah. 2 months later, though, that belt was around his waist.
I think we should start doing that more often just for the drama of it, because that was crazy.
Yeah. Not a bad idea, actually. Maybe not the best idea.
Read some fake decisions every now and then and be like,
Yeah.
Psych.
Could you imagine that? Philip Fox comes out and knocks somebody out. We announce him as the loser by disqualification.
Hit him in the back of the head.
All right, so moving on.
I think Billy Fox might storm the ring, though, and then you got to deal with him, and I wouldn't want that.
So moving on from 2021 to 22, you know, Alex Davis he kind of reminds me of Fedor, the way he carries himself. He's always just so stoic. I don't know, just
and
calm.
he's Russian. So
yeah, Alex is what, 2/3 Russian, 3 seconds Russian. I don't know, 1.5 Russian. But there is only one person we've seen at NLC that is more stone faced than the 2021 Alex Davis, and that is the 2022 Alex Davis. Even more stone faced.
I think he's less. That's my theory. Because I think his first fight NLC 6, that's when I first made that Fedor comparison. He looked like he just got out of bed. But we're seeing the new Alex Davis, and I don't know. I think he's enjoying fighting more, and you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's in there, like certain moments, like when Chapman knocked him down. That was one of the craziest moments ever because Chapman knocked him down, and it looked like he was looking right at me over at the commentary booth, and he had this crazy smile on his face. Like, dude, he likes fighting.
Yeah.
And I think he's getting more and more comfortable in there.
So, yeah, he had a really good year in 22. You know, he started the year by winning the heavyweight boxing title. And then he won another MMA fight. And 3 weeks after that, he won. He successfully defended his heavyweight title. 2 months later, made his pro debut. Had another fight with had another pro fight. He had 3 pro fights in the year. He's still undefeated. Yeah, I mean, just like a heck of a year, man. And he fought for a couple other promotions too. I mean, he was like 8-0, 9-0 this year.
That's the thing. Like, 2021, you can't not give him fighter of the year. 2022, you can't not give him fighter of the year. It's not playing favorites here. It's just his body of work these past 2 years.
Yeah.
Nobody's really compared with it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, he's had a hell of a 2 years.
Yeah. He's, like I said with Zach Craddock, early on, if we have an event and Alex isn't on it, like I'm probably going to have to fight Alex in the parking lot now for not getting.
How many events now has it been straight for New Line?
But he's been on everything we've had since he joined us right after COVID. So Alex reached out to us after NLC 4.
The only two people that have been on every card since New Line 6 are me and Alex Davis.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
We're going to have to set it up.
Interesting, man. I feel like I've seen his entire journey as a fighter, and it's been so cool.
Yep.
The only thing I missed, Marvin Workman fight, his coming out party.
Marvin's awesome, man. I tell you what I want to see though. I want to see Alex Davis come
Marvin.
out.
I'm sorry, Matt Workman.
Matt. Yeah,
Matt
you missed
Workman.
that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe you've seen the video
that
with
threw
me.
You off a lot. You thought I was talking about Marvin, and you were like, "What in the
I don't
hell?"
I don't know how you led into that. Like, I don't know, but Marvin's awesome, dude. I love that guy.
I know.
So I was gonna say I want to see Alex Davis attempt the Marvin Workman backflip off the top of the cage. Don't do it, Alex. Don't do it, Alex.
Are you trying to hurt Alex Davis?
Yeah, I think if something bad happens, and I put him up to that, I'm in trouble. That would be kind of like going on a movie set and giving somebody, a real bullet and a gun
at night. If Alex Davis in his next fight backflips off the cage, breaks his neck, and then that's it.
Like a baby, because I'm telling you right now, Alex, don't do it. I know I said do it a minute ago, and I dared you. I triple dog dared you.
What if he
don't
stopped
do it,
listening
Alex.
to the podcast? What if he got bored right then and was like, you know what, screw this, and then he goes
Alex,
about it.
Do you think Alex listens to this?
No. He's too busy. He's got like 7 kids. He's got a job working probably 18 hours a day. I don't know how he has time for anything.
He works 6 days a week, man.
Dude, he worked the day of his fight, didn't he? I know a couple guys on that Oceana card worked the day they fought.
Yeah, dudes are showing up and like wiping coal off their face so they can get in the ring and fight. West Virginia for you, and some Eastern Kentucky's about the same way.
Well,
but
we've had
that's it.
Been the New Line Cage Fighting Academy Awards.
We're not going to wait 4 years for the next one, so we'll see you next January for the 23 awards. Maybe December. We'll see. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Got some more podcasts coming out soon. Stay tuned. Peace. How do we turn this thing off?